Kelsey was 8 weeks pregnant.
Last seen in Pueblo, visiting her boyfriend.
Friends and family would get text replies back, but they said that it just didn't quite sound like Kelsey.
I did have a sinking feeling in my stomach.
This unknown man is seen walking to Kelsey Schelling's car and is seen driving away with the car.
I mean, we're trying everything.
Breaks my heart.
Almost 2 years after Kelsey's disappearance, a mysterious message giving everyone hope comes through that Help Find Kelsey Facebook page.
It was saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous?
Kelsey Schelling grew up in the tiny farm town of Holyoke, Colorado.
Holyoke is around 2.5 to 3 hours away from Denver.
It's quiet. It's kind of have your own way.
Perfect place to raise a family.
Yeah, real good place, yeah. Safe. You're hoping anyway, you know.
Holyoke is definitely agricultural. There's only one stoplight, and if you want to go to a Walmart, you've got to head west to Sterling. That's 50 miles away.
In the early 90s, Kelsey's parents, Doug and Laura, owned the local grocery store in Holyoke. Kelsey and her brother Colby seemed to be living out the American dream. I first met Laura Saxton back in 2016 when 2020 was first looking into Kelsey's story.
You know, she's just always been a little firecracker. Hi, Cal. Hi, Cocoa Bean.
Kelsey. Kel.
She wasn't a kid that wanted to stay up till midnight, you know, where you usually have to fight your kids to go to bed, like at 8:30. That's when she wanted to go to bed. She'd go into her room and pull back her covers, and each animal had to be in a certain place, and everything had to be just perfect.
When she got to be 2, 3, 4 years old, she was feisty. You'd try to give her a kiss, and she'd slap me pretty good, so I kind of learned my lesson, you know.
My first impression of Kelsey, she was just an active, outdoors, fun-loving girl, liked to do a lot of sports. When my daughter and Kelsey first met up, their true love was playing basketball together.
I was her coach, yeah. Here she is right here.
Wow. Is she the point guard?
Mm-hmm.
When we were still in elementary school, her dad took us out and let us drive on the dirt roads, which is pretty common around here. Kelsey could just laugh about things like that, and her laugh made us laugh. She'd start to giggle, then you would start to giggle, and so that's what made being around Kelsey so special.
Kelsey was a tiny little thing, you know, shorter than me.
The Kelsey that I knew didn't take a lot of crap off her classmates. You know, she wasn't afraid to stand her ground.
But as Kelsey enters her teens, the Schelling family is rocked when Doug and Laura decide to divorce.
Going through a divorce is really hard as a kid.
Yeah, the split of our parents certainly had an impact on both of us.
Colby.
Colby lived with me, and Kelsey lived with her mom. It was a real dark time for the whole family.
It was a rough age. You know, after her dad and I got divorced, it was just she and I together alone for a lot of years.
She was in a bad emotional place, and I don't think that was due to her character and nature. I think that was circumstantial.
When Laura and I was going through a divorce, she was on antidepressant pills, and she ended up taking like 3 of them or something.
She ended up in the hospital for several days, and it was pretty scary. I mean, I thought we were going to lose her at that point.
She was in a coma?
She was.
I felt like it was a turning point. I mean, when any young school-age kid has parents who are splitting up, that's a lot to take on. She actually stopped doing all of the sports and activities. Seemed like she was more removed.
I think Kelsey was just looking for a change. She wanted to figure out what was her niche.
Kelsey was always, I think, working through, how do I be better? How do I grow? How do I move past this?
Our senior year, she was the prom queen. You don't get that without showing people kindness and respect and truly being embraced by your peers, you know.
Kelsey taught me, she taught me perseverance.
Eventually, she moves on. She goes to Northeastern Junior College. What did she want to do with her life?
She wanted to get a degree in psychology. I think in her heart, she wanted to work with children.
We officially became roommates January of 2011. If all of us were bored at 3 o'clock in the morning, she'd be the one to say, let's go cause problems, I guess. Not bad problems, she was just, you know, out for a good time. She loved to have fun. That was her thing to do.
And for a while, carefree Kelsey is back. And then she meets Dante Lucas. He's about to change her life forever.
It was a big deal that she was dating Dante. He was part of the basketball team. They were kind of the popular kids and everything. By the time Kelsey got to know him, she felt proud that she knew who he was because he was somebody to know.
He had dreams of making it big in the NBA.
Kelsey thought she met the man of her dreams.
Marker.
Please say your full name and give us your title.
Lisa Wayne, attorney at law. Well, I had the privilege of being down in Pueblo in the 80s, and I was a public defender. Pueblo's a small town in southern Colorado. Used to be a steel mill town. The steel mill shut down in the 80s.
Pueblo was founded and built by people that came from all over the world.
We're the home of the Pueblo chili. Everyone that lives there is so proud of this town.
Kelsey's love interest, Dante Lucas, lives in Pueblo. Sarah Lucas, Dante's mother, is raising all 4 kids on her own in this Colorado town set on what's called the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. In the town of Pueblo, a 6'7" star athlete stands out.
I coached Dante Lucas in youth football. He was a coach's dream. He was a real polite kid, wanted to learn the game of football and just really quiet. Dante Lucas was super close with his mother, Sarah. On the football field, she was one of the most supportive parents. For Dante, football wasn't his sport. I'd say he's a better basketball player, which happened later in his career through high school here in Pueblo.
Dante Lucas was a very well-known basketball player. He was going to be the one who made it out of Pueblo.
He had dreams of making it big in the NBA.
It was obvious that he wanted to pursue it, but the family spoke more about it than he did. We were told by Dante's mom, Sarah, that he was getting contacted from North Carolina and Kentucky. Their dream was that he was going to make the NBA and make a good life for himself.
When I first met Dante, he was a freshman here at Central High School. He was 6'7". If you have that kind of size, you know, you can make a lot of things happen.
It just amazed me as a guy in class that was so quiet was just as popular as he was.
He was a really good role model for the young kids in the neighborhood.
His attitude was always good. He was good with his teammates. He just matured into a very good basketball player.
His overall drive as a student from day one, it wasn't up to snuff. As a teacher, I'd try to get him involved with the rest of the class. I talked to him about that several times.
Whether it was his grades or his skill, Dante didn't get into an NCAA school, but he wanted to continue to play basketball. Dante gets recruited to Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, Colorado. He's playing basketball when he meets Kelsey Schelling, and they begin dating.
Kelsey and another one of our roommates actually went to a basketball game and were scouting out the cute boys on the team, saw Dante and decided to go up and talk, and that's how she and Dante met. By the time Kelsey got to know him and really got kind of involved, she felt proud that she knew who he was because he was somebody to know. They spent a lot of their extra free time together.
When did you first meet him?
I never met him. I saw him play basketball a couple times.
Kelsey never really said anything about bringing him home to meet the parents.
He was not committed to her by any means.
Kelsey could have had anybody, but she kind of always took attraction to people that needed help, that she thought she could turn around.
I believe that if Dante was, failing or had bad grades, that his basketball career at the school would be definitely on pause. I don't honestly think that Dante really cared to learn. Kelsey would try to help him. He would just seem very disinterested and not really care.
I think she just hoped if she was good enough to him that, he would realize that, she's the one.
I think Kelsey stayed with Dante because she found someone that gave her attention even if it wasn't the right kind of attention. And I think Dante was with Kelsey because he got money from Kelsey, borrowed Kelsey's car, basically lived a life that everyone works for but didn't have to do anything for it. Just had to be there.
There were good days in the relationship with Dante, and then it just went south. He would play with her heart. I could definitely see some bubbliness fading out as he broke her spirit.
Kelsey texts Dante, "I'm really hurt. The way you talk about me to other people is your true feelings. I guess I'm just a fool. I'm so heartbroken." Days later, Dante would respond, "My phone's been dead the past few days."
And then afterwards she'd be like, "Oh, well, he's better, he's gonna be better." And then she'd be happy.
Dante left Northeastern Junior College because he was kind of done with his studies.
After Kelsey leaves Northeastern Junior College, she lands in California, but she doesn't stay there long. Why did she decide to leave?
Mostly it was financial reasons.
Where did she go from there?
That's when she moved back to Colorado. Was living in Denver in her dad's apartment, and she had started working at Floor and Decor.
When did she start going out with Dante again?
Over the holiday time frame, November, December, he would stay with her, but then he'd go back to Pueblo sometime.
Were you worried that he would come back and what that would do to her?
Absolutely. I saw what it was like before, and I didn't want that to happen to her again. She didn't want that to happen to her again, because she knew the kind of person that she became when she was with him.
And how in the world did they get back together?
I don't know. She missed him, I guess.
Kelsey has a surprise for her family. She's pregnant.
She called me when she found out she was pregnant, and she was stressed, very stressed. I could tell she was scared to tell me. Just told her, "I will support you. It's going to be okay." She was happy.
Did she tell you anything about Dante's reaction?
She said he was mad.
She and Dante would be texting, and he would stop responding either during arguments that they were having. She would then get upset, wait to hear back from Dante, and left in limbo, and it was very aggravating for her.
Kelsey texts Dante, "You were my best friend, the only thing I lived for day after day. What happened to us? It wasn't supposed to be like this."
One time I'd talk to her and she'd say, he's kind of coming around, and Dante will never abandon the baby.
But a child with Kelsey was not in Dante's plans.
Kelsey gets a text from Dante, and he says that he has something for her. He alludes to a surprise, and he wants her to come to Pueblo.
Kelsey had come home. When she was here, she slept a lot. I knew it was hard on her working full-time in Denver. Now with the new pregnancy, she was really tired. I said, "I will support you. Whether Dante is in the picture or not in the picture, it's going to be okay." She was happy. She wanted that baby. She wanted to be a mom.
She was in a good place.
Yes. So I'm thankful for those couple of days that we got before she went missing.
My name is Zach Hillstrom. I am a reporter at the Pueblo Chieftain. I think that people have been trying to fill in the blanks about what happened to Kelsey from the time that it happened, and not just when the mystery seemed like it might be a permanent one. On February 3rd of 2013, Dante Lucas, her boyfriend, was trying to convince Kelsey Schelling to come visit him in Pueblo that day. She responded with a firm no. It seems like they fought a lot that night. Just before 3 a.m., Kelsey texted Dante, "You don't have to be in a relationship with me. You don't have to marry me. You don't have to have a happy little family with me. You don't have an obligation to me. You're good. Don't worry. Good night." Lucas's response to that was, "Oh, I know all of that. Thanks for stating that for me."
So it was February 4th, and Kelsey had taken 3 home pregnancy tests. So she went into the doctor and had the doctor confirm to her that she was actually pregnant. She got the sonogram done. She even had the photo in hand of her sonogram. She was able to share that with her mom.
What did you think when you saw the baby?
I was happy. I knew that she was happy.
She showed up to work probably 10 minutes late. She just had her ultrasound. She's really excited. She was in a great mood that day.
That morning, Kelsey told Dante that she had finished her appointment and that her due date was September 13th. Lucas's response to that was cool. He asked her to skip work and come to Pueblo. She texted him, "I'm not gonna come get you so we can fight all day." He texted back, "I don't wanna fight at all. I want to give you this." She writes back, "Give me what?" He says, "Just wait and see for yourself. You probably wouldn't believe me if I told you anyway, so you can see for yourself."
Kelsey decides to go down to Pueblo after work.
She clocked out of work at a little bit after 8:40 p.m. and hit the road to see Dante in Pueblo.
So Denver to Pueblo drive right down I-25. It's about 2 hours long. It's just one straight path. Not a lot of people are out on the roads. It is a lonely, quiet drive. While she's driving down to Pueblo, Dante sends her a text saying, "Let's meet at the Southside Walmart." She parks her car there.
She texted him at 10:20 saying she'd arrived, and he replied that he'd be there shortly.
She's waiting, and she's getting impatient, like any girlfriend would.
At 11:10 p.m., he still hadn't shown up to the Walmart.
That's when Dante says, "Let's meet at our spot," which is in the neighborhood of his grandmother's home, and that's where Dante was staying at the time. She moved her car there from the Southside Walmart. She was just parked on the side of the road in this residential neighborhood. So then she's left waiting there again, and she's still impatiently texting him.
The last confirmed message from Kelsey was sent at 11:18 p.m. She was asking Dante, "Where are you? I've been here for over an hour just waiting."
The following day, the 5th, she didn't show up for work. So I tried calling her, couldn't get a response. So then I shot her a text message asking her where she was, why she wasn't at work. Got a text message back right away saying that she was in the hospital having some tests done. And she said that she was not having a baby anymore, it was growing in the wrong place.
I tried calling her on Wednesday. She didn't answer her phone, which is kind of pretty rare. And then I texted her, I said, "Hey, give me a call." I got a text message back, said, "I'm not feeling good, I'm on the couch, I'll call you tomorrow."
I kept trying to call, and she wouldn't answer. Toward the end of the week, it was going directly to voicemail. So then, in the back of my mind, I'm starting to get concerned.
After Kelsey had driven to Pueblo, there was never a phone call that was answered from her phone.
Kelsey is not the type of person who would not talk to her friends. She was glued to her phone.
Friends and family would get text replies back, but they said that it came in a voice that just didn't quite sound like Kelsey. It was just short, quick responses.
Generally, any text message I had from Kelsey, words were spelled and there was punctuation, and they didn't have that.
I got to looking at the text message and it's like, man, I don't think that was her.
Why didn't you think that was her?
Just the verbiage in it and stuff. I mean, it just didn't seem like, her texting me.
Then on that Saturday morning, it's like the whole world just unraveled. All of her friends started contacting us saying, we've been trying to reach Kelsey and we can't reach her. I called Doug, her dad, and said, something is wrong. And so then we all drove up to Denver that day. Went into the apartment. There was no sign of her in the apartment. And that's when we called the Denver police.
Family members were visibly upset. They were frantic, actually, almost feverishly asking for any help they could get in trying to locate her.
Did you reach out to Dante?
I did contact him to ask him, if he knew where she was.
What did he sound like on the phone? Because the call that you're making to him is, Kelsey, the woman that you are with, the mother of your child, is missing. We are desperate to find her.
Nothing, no. Not worked up, not, just...
He's not scared? What can I do? How can I help?
No, he just says, if I hear from her, I'll let you know. And then a little bit later, he got back with me. He said, I heard from Kelsey. She called from a private number. She said she doesn't have her phone. And she said she'll be getting a hold of you.
Intimating that she's alive, she's out there.
And I said, well, can you track that number? And he's like, yeah, I'll try and figure out what the number was. And then, of course, he never did.
When this case first came in, I called Dante. He was telling me that he had seen her and had talked with her and spent time with her more recently than any of her family members, any of her friends. After I got off the phone, I did have a sinking feeling in my stomach. The following Friday, February 15th, that morning is when we drove down to Pueblo to turn the investigation over to the Pueblo Police Department.
We, in the beginning, were trying not to call him a suspect, just to try to build a rapport with him and try to sit down and get him to open up.
Can you kind of tell me just briefly what happened?
Well, early Tuesday morning, she came down to Pueblo.
During the course of the interrogation with Dante Lucas, he reveals some pretty shocking things about Kelsey and about the baby.
Now to the mysterious disappearance of a Denver woman.
Pregnant woman who vanished. Kelsey was 8 weeks pregnant. Last seen in Pueblo, visiting her boyfriend, Dante Lucas.
So when do you start talking to Dante Lucas?
We start talking to him fairly quickly as far as what is going on.
Police bring Dante in for questioning, and immediately he denies a romantic relationship with Kelsey.
Now, is she your girlfriend, or no?
We never were actually in a relationship.
Can you kind of tell me just briefly what happened?
She came down to Pueblo, and we're talking, whatever. She ended up, getting mad at me or whatever.
Dante tells Officer Robinson that Kelsey slept in her car in Pueblo.
He said that they met up again the following morning and that he brought Kelsey Schelling to Parkview Medical Center, where she went inside.
So went to Parkview, and she went in and stayed for about almost 2 hours, hour 45 too.
We have no record of Kelsey Schelling ever being here at Parkview Medical Center.
Now, what do you check to find out if she was here or not?
We have a medical records system that keeps track of every patient that's ever walked through our doors.
So for you, there was no way she's ever here?
That's correct.
He alluded to the fact that she may have had a miscarriage.
She came out and she told me that she wasn't pregnant.
Just the day before in Denver, Kelsey's doctor told her that the baby was healthy.
So then after we left Parkview,
Dante claimed that he and Kelsey then went to the Southside Walmart. Kelsey was going to grab some snacks before she made the drive back to Denver.
She went to go get some snacks, like something to eat, because she was hungry. And then came back out, we ended up talking, and she ended up telling me, like, get out of the car at Walmart, and she didn't want to take me home. So I just left from Walmart, started walking home, and then my mom came and got me.
But surveillance video from Walmart reveals a different version of events.
He contends that the two of them are together, and clearly, based on the surveillance, it's one person. It's him getting out of the car, and no one else exits.
When the car was parked at Walmart on February 5th, police believe that it was Daunte Lucas parking that car, getting out and walking away. They have pretty good surveillance video showing it.
The car sat there overnight.
The morning of February 6th, this unknown man is seen walking to Kelsey Schelling's car, parked at the Southside Walmart, and is seen driving away with the car. We have no idea who that person was in that video.
It's a car that that person is familiar with. And we know earlier that Daunte had the key.
Who do you think that someone was that came back and drove that car away?
You know, there's similarities to Daunte, but it's nothing that we can 100% say that is the person who drove it away.
When Daunte Lucas talked with police, he didn't paint the best picture of Kelsey. He painted a picture of, just that she was kind of troubled.
She had like bad anxiety. She has anxiety attacks, so she had pills for that.
What can you tell me about that?
She's told me before that like she's ended up in like the hospital a few times from like overdosing, I guess.
Daunte cast her to police as someone who had troubles with drugs.
No.
No?
I don't believe that, no.
She just one time she told me about suicide, but she told me she ended up in the hospital behind it like multiple times.
When she was 15 years old, she did. So yes, she has had that in her past. But if she committed suicide, you would find her body. I mean, she was happy. She wanted that baby. She wanted to be a mom.
So at this point, Kelsey has been missing for more than a week. But on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2013, her car is discovered.
The car of a missing Denver woman has been found in Pueblo.
Detectives will be examining Kelsey's car.
It was big news when Kelsey's car was found at St. Mary Corwin Medical Center. How did it get there? What happened to Kelsey?
I knew once her car was found that something horrible had happened, because there's just no way that she would have gone somewhere and left her car.
To find the car and no Kelsey.
And no Kelsey. We did not have any good security footage that could tell us who dropped off the car, how the car got there. Normally, if someone was going to go away for a few days, they'd take their car with them. So we are now leaning towards foul play. So we accelerate the case.
Police start working backwards. They start going through surveillance video, and what they find is pretty surprising. Less than 12 hours after she would have arrived in Pueblo, surveillance video shows Daunte in her car at an ATM in Pueblo. He's driving and he takes $400 out of Kelsey's bank account.
But is it suspicious for you that he uses that card after the date where you pinpoint Kelsey was missing?
It is part of the suspicious activity, yes.
Because Daunte withdraws money from Kelsey's account without her in the car, Daunte is brought in for a second time by Pueblo police.
This is the second time I talked to you.
These detectives had a wealth of information to go at him.
Why'd you get the money?
The money? What money are we talking about?
11:39 at the bank. You're on video, dude. In her car with her credit card. You're on tape.
Yo, this is for the 400 they're talking about? This is for my phone bill.
Why didn't she go with you to the ATM? It's not in the car. It's on the video.
It may have been while she was over the hospital. Honestly, I'm not sure about like I said, like my time frame has been messed up.
The detective moves on to another topic, talking about why there's no record of Kelsey ever showing up at the hospital.
There's no record of her ever being at Parkview.
That's like all I have to say.
Now here's the thing. Instead of pressing Daunte on these contradictions, they move on to an unrelated topic.
When you dropped her off, when she dropped you off at Walmart, where were you parked at? I mean, like, apparently you guys know, so, like, I don't understand why you, like, I told him one time, like, that's all I can say about it.
When she dropped you off, when was that again?
Can I speak to a lawyer, please? So if you guys keep asking the same questions over and over, like, I was like, speak to a lawyer.
Once he requests a lawyer, all questions come to a halt.
Unfortunately, this is a very poorly executed interview. I think it's a tremendous missed opportunity.
Once he shut down, our avenues of trying to talk to him end.
How did you read that?
As the possibility that he knows something.
Lucas was arrested on February 15th. They don't arrest him on murder charges. He was arrested on felony identity theft charges for using Kelsey's debit card at the bank that day.
But those charges were later dropped when investigators found out that Kelsey did, on occasion, give him permission to use her bank card.
How do you prove she did not or did give him permission at that time? And since you had permission to do it before, it makes it a very difficult case to prosecute.
He's released. He's, living his life.
Do we suspect foul play? Yes. Have we come up with a body? No. Dante is a person of interest in the fact that she's missing.
Hoping to get Dante to talk, police bring in the person who knows him better than anyone.
Keep us up at night. This was a story that I spent 4 years working on and reporting on.
5 years of no answers.
I wanted so badly for there to be justice in this case.
To let you see
Even though Kelsey's car was found in Pueblo, Kelsey hadn't been found. Police, maintained at that time that it was a missing persons case.
When the charges of identity theft are dropped in March of 2013, police can't get Dante to talk again.
You'll have the chair right there. I'll grab you water and we'll be back in a second.
So they take a different tact. They decide to speak to his mother, Sarah Lucas.
I would love to clear Dante and move on. If Dante would come in, do a polygraph, we ask him like 5 questions. If he passes that, we can move on and look other directions.
I will relay that to his lawyer, and I know my son wants nothing more than to find out what happened to her.
Detectives ask her about February 5th. That's the day that Dante was seen on surveillance camera parking Kelsey's car at Walmart.
Did you in fact pick Dante up?
I did pick my son up.
At that time, did you see Kelsey? Was she with him or?
No, she wasn't with him then.
Do you know where she was?
In the house.
Sarah gives Dante an alibi for his whereabouts on February 6th, when that unknown man is seen moving Kelsey's car from the Walmart.
On the 6th, Dante, or somebody that looks remarkably similar to Dante, I'm not going to say 100% was him, but went back and picked it up.
There's no way that was him. There's no way he was at home. I know my son. He's not capable of hurting anybody.
But it's been 3 years since this case happened. No one's been charged.
That's right. You have inconsistencies, lies, but without a body or any direct evidence that tells us something happened to her, to a homicide, it may happen one day, but right now it's, we haven't had any evidence to reclassify it.
You look at the Pueblo Police Department, they probably didn't have as many resources, and her family quickly became frustrated with how this investigation was progressing, or kind of the lack thereof any progress.
Kelsey's still not a victim, according to them. There's not been a criminal act committed, according to them. We just want an effective investigation done into Kelsey's disappearance.
Her family is pleading for your help.
We're doing everything in our power to find our missing loved one.
We tried to push Pueblo police for answers. We were there for every press conference, every event. We just weren't getting any new information from them at all. And to me, that was so frustrating.
The investigation really isn't being handled properly.
Laura Saxton, always been a fierce advocate for her daughter, and I don't think she'll rest until Kelsey is found.
Many in Pueblo are not giving up on finding clues that could help find Kelsey Schelling.
Why do you think people feel so strongly about Kelsey's case?
They can't believe it. They try and imagine what if it was their child.
We're gonna break up again over here.
In May of that year, when she went missing, they started doing their own searches because they didn't think police were looking hard enough.
The whole community was rallying. There were so many searches for her body all over the city of Pueblo.
This is probably one of the largest groups we've had in a while.
after 3 years. That means a lot, so thank you.
Come on, kid.
People were scattering, just looking for any shred of evidence.
It's becoming harder to come back. I dread the trips, but I know I have to do it.
She comes home empty-handed. The one thing that she doesn't have is Kelsey.
They never found anything on those searches. Then those searches turned into anniversaries.
Kelsey Schelling disappeared 4 years ago this month.
And Kelsey's mother believes police are now closer than ever to finding her.
That turned into justice walks around the Pueblo Police Department and the District Attorney's Office.
We appreciate you all so much. Your support keeps us going.
To put pressure on our system to do something here.
We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep coming up with ideas. I mean, we're trying everything.
Kelsey's family offers a $50,000 reward for information.
So you feel like you're doing everything you can, even to this day, to find out what happened with Kelsey?
Yes. There is no lead we don't follow up. We followed up leads from psychics that call in. Oh, they've had a vision on where Kelsey is, and we followed up those leads.
In an effort to get some more information, hopefully some tips and leads in the case, Kelsey's family also set up a Facebook page, Help Find Kelsey.
It was one source or one place where people could come together to generate information, maybe from even people that didn't want to call police.
You get a Facebook message.
It was from a woman saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous? It's so awful. He sold her into sex trafficking. I almost feel like I went insane. What if she is still out there somewhere?
We were on the ground to investigate, and I couldn't believe what happened. Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. It's Ryan Smith, ABC News.
Is seen driving away with the car.
And Kelsey's just gone.
Kelsey had taken 3 home pregnancy tests.
Now, is she your girlfriend or no? We never were actually in a relationship.
The lead suspect stops talking.
Can I speak to a lawyer, please?
It's a dead end.
These are the stories that keep us up at night.
But an undercover volunteer befriends him.
I had to play the role that I didn't know what was happening, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
Okay, they're both rolling now.
There's a sting operation. Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. We're about 10 seconds away. Marcus, Ryan Smith, ABC News. How you doing?
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down.
The anxiety level was high, the tension was high.
A witness in the Dante Lucas trial
was found shot to death. Another moment where your jaw hit the floor.
When they came and told us the verdict was in, we all were just like, oh my God.
Her mother simply won't give up on finding Kelsey. For nearly 2 years, Laura Saxton had been on a desperate search for answers about her daughter Kelsey, who suddenly disappeared in February of 2013.
There will be a renewed search for clues in the case of Kelsey Schelling.
Just through seeing Laura Saxton, the tears, the sadness, the frustration, it all came, rolling out.
Many in Pueblo are not giving up on finding clues that could help find Kelsey Schelling.
The relentlessness of this mother's search really struck a chord with so many people in Pueblo. Scores of locals turned out to help Laura search all around the Pueblo area for any trace of Kelsey.
Over here on this other hike in 2 more groups.
The ride home is always really tough, going home empty-handed, emotionally and physically.
Is it hard to keep hope?
As far as the hope of actually finding her, that dwindles, every day.
But then, in October of 2015, nearly 2 years after Kelsey's disappearance, there's a shocking development. A mysterious message giving Laura hope comes through the Help Find Kelsey Facebook page. That's the page that Laura had set up to gather tips and leads on the case.
It was saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous?
When Laura responds, a man emails her saying, "Ma'am, please, your daughter is not dead. She will be back home alive." The man offers a harrowing account of what really happened to Kelsey. He claims that Dante hired a friend to kill her and says Dante has no idea she is alive. He thinks she is dead.
And that the friend did not kill her. He sold her into sex trafficking. It made me sick. I mean, I could barely function. What if she is still out there somewhere?
The emailer says he needs money to help Kelsey escape. $50,000 in cash. So the plan is this. The money is to be brought to Vancouver, Washington, specifically to a local McDonald's restaurant. Then it's to be hand-delivered to a guy named Marcus, who would be wearing a red hat.
Once the money was exchanged, then this courier person would go and get Kelsey and bring her back to the McDonald's. I'll have to sell some stocks, which will take about a week, but I can push to expedite that process. I just thought, what if she's been out there and I could have found her and we haven't? I mean, it was just what if?
Laura sets up the meeting at the McDonald's in Vancouver to deliver the cash. But even though she's desperate for answers, she's worried that something criminal is going on. So she reaches out to the Vancouver police and asks them to go undercover to meet this courier.
It felt like law enforcement from Vancouver should have been involved in the situation.
But just before the appointed time, the Vancouver police back out, believing it to be an internet scam and not an actual human trafficking plot. But 2020 had the McDonald's under surveillance to see if anyone would show up. Our cameras are rolling as a man with a red hat comes in.
That's him.
He sits quietly. But after no one shows up, he takes off.
Okay, he's on the move. Cut the engine.
Weird, eerie to see that they actually were, going through with this.
He's gone.
It was just all a matter of trying to get down to the truth of this.
As I was investigating this mysterious email, a contact of mine told me about another missing woman's case that proved to be the key to unraveling this mystery. In Portsmouth, Ohio, 1,200 miles away from Colorado, Megan Lancaster, 25 years old, has also suddenly disappeared.
Katie Lancaster is on a mission to help find her sister-in-law.
I mean, she's gone without a trace. We have her car and her wallet.
An eerie feeling like there's something, like we're gonna find something.
Months go by with no developments. Megan's family organizes searches and sets up a Facebook page to publicize the case.
And then, out of nowhere, he pops up.
A startling message comes through the family's Facebook page about Megan.
He says, I know where Megan is, and I can get her back.
Just like with Kelsey's family, the emailer says he can help Megan escape, but he needs money, $50,000. He directs them to bring $25,000 in cash up front to Vancouver, Washington, specifically to that same McDonald's, and deliver it to a man named Marcus, wearing, no surprise, a red hat.
What if he really does have her, and I can bring her home?
You should stick with the crew, behind the camera, with the crew.
To unravel just what's going on with this mystery, Katie agreed to work with 2020 to set up a sting operation.
Katie and I are going to be in one vehicle.
Just like Laura did 2 weeks earlier, she arranges a meeting to drop off the money in Vancouver at that McDonald's.
There are booths over here.
Katie, you said this morning that they sent you a text message.
They will be sending Marcus.
Okay, they're both rolling now.
I would be going to this rendezvous with Katie, but wearing a hidden camera. As we walk into the McDonald's at the appointed meet time, we quickly spot Marcus, the man in the red hat, and walk over to him. Katie was instructed not to ask any questions, so I told Marcus, hey, the money is in the trunk of a car parked outside.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. We're about 10 seconds away.
Meanwhile, I was waiting outside with our camera team and a security guard in case this thing went sideways.
Okay, let's get ready.
As they head out to the parking lot, before the trunk is opened, I walk over to Marcus. I want to get some answers.
Marcus, Ryan Smith, ABC News. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Why'd you come here to take $25,000 from Katie?
I don't know.
You don't know why you're here to take $25,000 from Katie?
Nope.
What are you here for?
Oh, because to collect some money.
You see, Marcus claims he was suckered too, lured online into a supposed jewelry venture. He says he was supposed to pick up the money and then wire it to someone he's never met.
So a random guy tells you to go to McDonald's twice in less than 2 weeks to meet people to pick up money, and you don't think anything of it?
I didn't think none of it.
We were told that you were going to deliver Megan to Katie today. Is that true?
I have no idea about no Megan or no kidnapping or anything like that.
This would be a scheme to extort money from families who have family members that are missing.
I didn't know nothing of this. I had no clue anybody was supposed to be exchanging nothing for a human being. If I did know, I would not have been involved in this situation.
So you've been here twice, coming to pick up money at a McDonald's. Your name is attached to this.
Just feel shaky inside.
I had no clue.
It's important that you be real honest with me.
Yeah, I'm real honest.
You have never heard of Kelsey Shelley?
Never.
Definitely a big scam. I want to know who's behind it.
But an FBI analysis of the emailer's Facebook page showed it used an IP address traced all the way to Russia.
In most scams, they're compartmentalized. So the person you may send to pick up the cash at a particular location may know nothing about what the scam is.
Then that's just 100% clarification that, you know, this is just some dirtbags out there, you know, trying to get money off of these poor families.
But while the extortion plot that was torturing Laura was laid to rest, the roller coaster ride wasn't over. A sympathetic stranger who feels for Laura comes up with a shocking plan to go undercover on her own and befriend Dante to try to find the truth about what happened to Kelsey.
I knew that I was potentially putting myself into danger.
Dante Lucas?
And when we go to get some answers from Dante, she was right there with him.
What do you have to say to her family?
Even though Laura Saxton lives hundreds of miles away from Pueblo, Colorado, the news about her years-long crusade to find her missing daughter continued to resonate with folks living there.
Our top story tonight, the search for Kelsey Shelling. Today, law enforcement following new leads in the case.
We're going to keep coming up with ideas. I mean, we're trying everything.
I felt really heartbroken for her. As a mom, I couldn't even begin to fathom knowing that your child's out there.
It's spring of 2016 when Lauren Shore, a single mom living near Pueblo, says Laura's story inspired her to hatch an audacious plan of her own. Make Facebook friends with Dante Lucas, gain his trust, and meet up with him in real life, and just maybe help solve the mystery of what happened to Kelsey.
Definitely was nerve-wracking, but I felt like I could do it. So I had messaged him on Facebook, and I told him that I was looking to meet new friends. He responded fairly quickly, within, I say, a couple of hours.
Lauren was eventually able to get Dante to meet her in person. When we shot this footage of Dante playing basketball in 2016, Lauren was there with him. She says it was only the second time they'd ever met.
We had went to a basketball court to just play around, shoot some hoops, and that's when a man with a camera came up to us.
Dante Lucas, I'm with ABC News 2020. The family of Kelsey says you're responsible for her disappearance. Is that true?
Who's Kelsey? I freaked out. I had to play the role that I didn't know what was happening, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
What is happening right now?
And he kind of just shut down and was like, I'll tell you about it later on. Don't freak out. It's okay. None of this is true.
As the weeks go by, Lauren says she's able to develop a close relationship with Dante.
We just hang around the family, watch movies, drink a little bit. He always smelt of alcohol. He comes off as very cocky, I feel like. He feels like he's just the man, and he can't do no wrong.
Just as she'd planned, Lauren says she got Dante to open up, to trust her enough. The time finally seemed right to ask him about Kelsey.
There was only a certain amount of period of time that he would talk about it. 1 minute he had no involvement, he had nothing to do with it, and then he would just shut down and start crying hysterically and get really upset.
But Lauren says something very unexpected happened with Dante. Her undercover relationship with him blossomed into romance.
I felt like he did genuinely develop feelings for me and did genuinely fall in love with me. He has this way about him that makes you just feel so sorry for him. In the back of my mind, I always kept that he is potentially a murderer.
Lauren says her relationship with Dante continued for about a year, but then something happened. There was an incident outside his house that made her realize she was in way over her head.
He's like, I want you to marry me. And he showed me the ring, I took the ring. At that point, I was kind of like done, because I didn't want to get in any deeper than I had already gotten into.
Despite all the efforts of this clandestine girlfriend, her work doesn't seem to be paying off, and the clock just keeps ticking for Laura Saxton. She's not any closer to knowing the truth about what happened to Kelsey.
I wasn't happy at all with how things were going, and I mean, that's one big reason why I wanted to do the first story with you guys. Was I was hoping that that would somehow bring something out into the light.
Tonight on 2020, when do you stop looking for a pregnant daughter who's vanished?
In May of 2016, our first 2020 program on the Kelsey Schelling case hits the airwaves. The very day of our broadcast, there's a big announcement regarding the investigation into Kelsey's disappearance. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation was going to join the case.
That was news to me, so I was kind of like, oh my God, this is awesome.
I think once that 2020 special aired, it really turned up the heat on Pueblo police and on this case.
Taking over the case, Pueblo Police Department Commander Eric Bravo and CBI agent Kevin Torres. Working together, they move fast, turning it from a missing persons case into a full-blown criminal investigation.
It was a homicide investigation in our eyes, so I immediately started working on setting a plan into motion how we wanted to proceed.
Police got a tip that led them to believe Schelling's body might be in Dante's backyard.
It's not long before police dig up the yard of the house where Dante and his family had been staying.
So we thought, man, you know, we really have something. But it went from elation to satisfaction. You know, that day it just seemed like we were there, and then it slipped away.
During the investigation, Agent Torres finds out about Dante's relationship with Lawrence Shore. When he interviews Shore, she reveals that Dante had made a key admission to her about Kelsey's disappearance. And it's about that Walmart surveillance video of the mystery man walking over to her car and then driving off with it.
She confirmed for us Dante admitting it was him in the Walmart surveillance video. She also informed us that Dante admitted to her dropping Kelsey's car off at St. Mary Corwin Hospital. The piece of information that Lauren provided to us was a pretty crucial piece at that point.
Then, in late 2017, there's a huge development that will totally transform the case. A Pueblo man tells police that Dante and other family members had attacked him in front of their home and stolen $1,000 from him. Now that gives police a reason to arrest Dante.
I had information that Dante was leaving Pueblo and was heading to DIA, where he seemingly intended to board a flight to Tucson. And the concern was that he may take other efforts to meet friends in Mexico.
Boy, the anxiety level was high, the tension was high.
The time was ticking away, and the tires were turning on the road. And Dante was within 20 minutes of getting on a plane for Tucson, Arizona, when he was arrested.
When he was arrested, there was hope across the community that maybe investigators would finally get some answers in this case.
We decided that the next day would be the day that we would send a couple detectives back in to try and answer some of the questions that we didn't have answered.
During his interrogation, Dante finally breaks down and comes clean, confirming Lawrence Shore's account that he was the one seen in that Walmart video.
So that information that he confirmed that that was him was huge.
You see, it was that admission, combined with the wealth of evidence from text messages, cell phone records, and surveillance video already gathered, all of that was enough for prosecutors to move forward.
At the end of the day, I said, I think we have enough here to go forward. I ethically believe that Dante Lucas killed Kelsey Schilling. and I think we have the evidence to prove it.
A major development, the ex-boyfriend of a pregnant Denver woman who went missing 4 years ago.
He now faces charges of first-degree murder.
How were you thinking as his trial approached? Are you thinking justice will be done?
I put a lot of things on hold because I just was, sure it was going to happen and, wanted to be ready to go.
So after 8 years, Daunte Lucas is finally in court, and the prosecution has a surprise witness.
That just took the whole room's breath away. No one saw that coming. This story became such a big deal here in Pueblo because people want answers and they haven't gotten any for 8 years.
Daunte Lucas, the Pueblo man accused of murdering his pregnant ex-girlfriend Kelsey Schelling nearly 8 years ago, is headed to trial tomorrow.
Did I think it was going to be a tough case? Absolutely. And we well may not win it. But I owe it to the family, I think I owe it to Kelsey, to go forward and try this case.
KRDO News Channel 13's Dan Beatty has been following this case and the trial for more than 2 years.
I was anticipating there to just be a mad rush of reporters who were going to try to get into the courtroom. I was very worried that I might not even get a seat. You could feel the anticipation. When I saw Laura Saxton walk into the judicial building, you could tell this was a day she's been waiting for a long time.
Denver 7's Liz Gilardi in Pueblo today for opening statements. Liz, you have been with this case every step of the way now for all these years.
The prosecution simply started out and they said, this is not a missing persons case, this is a homicide case.
The case that the prosecution was making right off the jump was, one, they were going to prove through text messages and surveillance video that Daunte Lucas has to be the one responsible for Kelsey Schelling's death.
These were two people in a relationship. Kelsey Schelling became pregnant. Daunte Lucas didn't want to have a baby. And he made sure that didn't happen.
I know that she had mentioned Kelsey Schelling's Chevy Cruze.
The prosecution said this car tells a story, and they told the jurors that you will see Daunte Lucas moving this car around Pueblo in the days after she went missing.
The idea that someone can essentially disappear without a trace, I think, is kind of a counterintuitive thought for people to have.
Prosecutors think there's enough evidence to convict Lucas even without a body, but the defense disagrees.
In the opening statements, the defense said this is a missing persons case. This has always been a missing persons case. They said there's no body, there's no evidence. Why should you believe that Daunte Lucas killed her?
They do not have a crime scene. They do not have a murder weapon.
Today, the jury got a detailed look at some of the text messages exchanged between them.
For the prosecutors, their goal was to show that those text messages showed intent, showed that Daunte Lucas consistently lied, not only to investigators, but to Laura Saxton herself.
What they referred to as his luring of Kelsey Schelling to Pueblo.
The prosecution say that he lured her there to end her life.
We know that that's his phone. He admitted to those text messages. We know that that's his thoughts and feelings about it. That's direct evidence.
And the movements of their phones as well, as they were pinging off cell phone towers in Pueblo on the night of February 4th and the early morning hours of February 5th. I think that a lot of the case really centered around those movements.
Two pivotal witnesses testified in the high-profile Pueblo murder case against Daunte Lucas.
First witness was Laura Saxton, and we were not expecting Laura Saxton to be the first one to take the stand. She didn't break down, but you can tell she's hurting. There's a lot of pain behind her voice.
I think that was really powerful for the jury to see. Her mom spoke to the fact that she absolutely wanted this baby.
Prosecutors today painted Kelsey Schelling as an excited mother-to-be, desperate to make it work with her boyfriend.
It didn't take long for the prosecutors to swing for the fences, calling some pretty shocking witnesses to the stand.
Ryan Rivera is a former Pueblo County inmate who considered himself to be a friend of Daunte Lucas.
And when he took the stand, he said that Dante Lucas told him that they're never going to find Kelsey Schelling's body. That just took the whole room's breath away.
Ryan Rivera, he was the only person who came forward over the duration of this trial that really said, Dante told me he did this.
I wasn't in the courtroom, but well, jailhouse snitch on its face is just not credible. I mean, that's the assumption that we believe jurors have, and it's the assumption we have as defense lawyers. Why would this person do it? What's the benefit? What's the motive?
There was no deals made about charges he would get to plead to, time he would get to serve. There was no deals like that.
There were a lot of names on the prosecutor's list that I was shocked by, but Sarah Lucas certainly topped that list.
When you saw that Sarah Lucas was on the prosecution side, everyone wondered, what is she gonna say?
The one important thing that I've kind of mentioned, she confirmed that Dante was the last person left alone with Kelsey.
The prosecution painted a picture of a troubled relationship.
Some of Kelsey's close friends testified. They pointed toward elements of domestic abuse in Kelsey and Dante's relationship.
Something worth pointing out was the prosecution and even the defense made it clear that Dante was using Kelsey for a number of things. For her money, Dante used Kelsey for her apartment in Denver, and Dante used Kelsey for her car. And his argument was, she lets me do it. The defense pushed the narrative that Kelsey Schelling popped pills, was an addict, that Kelsey, when she left Dante Lucas at the Southside Walmart here in Pueblo, that she was going to meet up with a drug dealer.
There's no single person, other than the defendant in 2017, who's saying that she was into drugs and that she was a party girl.
You didn't have the forensic evidence. It seemed like you were really relying on circumstantial evidence and the evidence of snitches and these other witnesses. That's pretty straightforward. Either you believe them or you don't.
The witness list yields more surprises. The ones who make it to court.
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down.
And the ones who didn't.
Witness 31-year-old Roxanne Martinez was found shot to death.
That was a completely unforeseen development in this case.
Breaking on Denver 7, a key witness in the Kelsey Schelling murder trial found dead.
That witness, 31-year-old Roxanne Martinez, was found shot to death in Denver last week.
These are still very stunning developments.
Roxanne Martinez, a witness for the prosecution, was set to testify soon.
That was just an absolutely, completely unforeseen development in this case. People were reeling when that news broke.
Denver police officers were called to a residential area in southeast Denver on a report of an unresponsive female who was lying in the roadway. We determined that that individual had been shot one time and died from that injury.
Her dad is in shock, her mom, her stepmom. It's just tragic all the way around.
I think when a witness in any major case turns up dead directly before they're set to testify, I think, of course, people are going to think, was she killed because she was going to testify?
Denver police arrested a suspect in Martinez's killing, 29-year-old Emmanuel Chandler. Chandler has been charged with first-degree murder, but he hasn't entered a plea yet.
We don't have any connection between Mr. Chandler and Mr. Lucas or anybody associated with that trial.
Our concern was to make sure that people understood that while she was an endorsed witness, I couldn't comment on her testimony.
Nobody knows what Roxanne Martinez was going to say on the stand for sure, with the exception of maybe the investigators who talked to her.
But while prosecutors say they can't discuss what Roxanne Martinez would have said on the stand, 2020 has uncovered some revealing details about her. You see, back in March of 2016, a woman named Roxanne had reached out to Laura Saxton through that Help Find Kelsey Facebook page. Roxanne messaged that she used to date the guy Kelsey was pregnant with, and he told me what had happened and started crying.
I'm instantly like mixed emotions, like, okay, are you going for the reward or, you know, are you for real?
When Laura asked, do you know where Kelsey is located? Roxanne replied, He told me everything. Yes, I do.
Basically, her information sounded very good and very promising, and so we really wanted to meet with her.
This mysterious woman agreed to meet Laura and her husband at a Mexican restaurant in Denver.
We were actually on our way there, and I tried to reach her by phone to let her know we were coming. She said that she was in the hospital and couldn't meet us. That was kind of the extent of what I really remember. And then, past that, then, that was all turned over to law enforcement to look into further.
Authorities say that woman was the same Roxanne who was killed during the trial.
I can confirm that CBI followed up and interviewed her, that we did have her as an endorsed witness that we wanted to testify during trial. The thing that I'm steering clear from is I just don't want to talk about evidence that wasn't actually admitted during trial.
Martinez's killing shakes up the trial and threatens to overshadow the testimony of another prosecution witness who had a remarkable story to tell. It's none other than Lauren Shore, that woman who befriended Dante as part of a plan to try to find out what happened to Kelsey.
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down, and that was realistically why I wanted to testify.
Shore testifies about Dante's critical admission to her, that he was the mysterious figure seen picking up Kelsey's car after it sat overnight in a Walmart parking lot.
I said, so that must have meant that you had dropped the car off at the hospital, correct? And that's when he said, yes, that was him that dropped the car off.
When the defense cross-examined Shore, they attack her credibility and her motives, at one point characterizing her as a sex informant because she had a physical relationship with Dante.
It's fair game, and if you're going to put yourself out there like she did and sleep with someone, the jury ought to know about that. You're having intimate conversations, and that cast a lot of suspicion on her as a witness.
The sex informant part really bothered me because I wasn't having sex with Dante to get answers out of him. I was playing my part and role as girlfriend. So to me, to be called such was really degrading.
On the very last day of its case, the prosecution played an interrogation video of Dante confirming Shore's account.
The clip that I played at the beginning of my closing was his phrase to detectives, "I lied from the jump. I moved the car." I wanted the jury to hear the defendant, in his own words, say, "I lied."
When it's the defense's turn to present its case, they raise a lot of eyebrows in court.
The defense didn't call a single witness to the stand. The defense immediately rested their case. And it was just another moment where your jaw hit the floor.
The burden of proof is on the government. It's simply messaging in a very strong way to the jury, they haven't done it. It's not guilty. So it's a strong message.
There was just really not a lot of hard forensic evidence to go off of. So as far as, what evidence they put forth to court that was irrefutable, that Dante Lucas killed Kelsey Schelling, I never saw that.
After a shocking final day of the trial, the jury was going to deliberate, and I had no idea what was going to happen at that point.
I think everybody was just like holding their breath.
Prosecution and defense have given closing arguments. The jury is now deliberating.
Well, on that last day of the trial, no one expected to get a verdict that day.
So now the waiting begins.
Yes. And I was prepared to camp out at the courthouse as long as I had to. I really thought I would be there all week, and we're really totally unprepared for when they came and told us the verdict was in. I think we all were just like, oh my God.
I mean, it was shocking how quickly they arrived at their decision, especially given just the amount of information they had to look at.
I can tell you, because the decision came back so early, all of our experience as prosecutors is that this was probably an acquittal, because juries tend to come to decisions more quickly on acquittals than convictions.
It was like standing on the precipice of a cliff and looking down. It was scary.
It was a very tense atmosphere in the courthouse while everyone was waiting to hear what the verdict was.
Even I was nervous, and I'm not affiliated with Kelsey Schelling's family at all.
People were wondering, does that mean Daunte Lucas is going to walk?
I think everybody was just like holding their breath almost.
And then, when you hear the verdict, tell me how you're feeling.
Well, the words came out way too slow. Like, I feel like the judge was talking in slow-mo, even though he wasn't. I mean, I was just like, every word, it's like, okay, spit it out, please. And then he finally got to, guilty of first degree, and I think that was the first breath like I had taken in a long time.
This is a guilty verdict, 8 years in the
Bad situation that didn't have to end up like this if he had just let her come home.
You mentioned it was a lot of emotions for both sides. Did you find yourself looking over at their side?
Daunte was sitting right in front of me. I looked at the back of his head through the whole trial. But, the mother of his child was there, and she broke down, and honestly, my heart hurt for her, hurt for their child, because it didn't have to end up this way.
Ryan Rivera's testimony was the biggest bombshell for our trial. It had moved us all. I could hear the gasps even in the masks of fellow jurors.
When it came out that he was convicted, I think there was a great feeling of satisfaction and relief, not elation. You have to look at it from this side too. Mr. Lucas is a young man, and he was convicted of a criminal crime that shapes his life for however long he lives. I think it's every parent's worst nightmare that a child goes before you, and you can never fully heal that wound. I can tell you, I almost lost a child in the early 80s. And so I had a lot of sympathy with Laura and her family because I came that close to that tragedy. And that child was the lead prosecutor on this case.
So the elected DA is my dad, and Kyle McCarthy, who was obviously on the case with me, is my husband. And we, I don't think, had a night in the last 4 years that we haven't gone home and talked about Kelsey Schelling. Sometimes it's the first thing we talk about when we wake up. Sometimes it's the last thing we talk about before we go to sleep.
On Saturdays when we're driving kids around to soccer, a lot of times we're being told to stop talking about it because they can hear us in the front seat talking about it.
We both also had, an incredible emotional pull to the family. That is a very special relationship, one that I will value for the rest of my life.
Well, I think, Michelle and Kyle with their closing, they're amazing. I don't even know what other words to use.
The first things that she told the reporters outside of the courthouse after the guilty verdict, yes, she was happy, but she was still devastated.
So we're very, very thankful for this outcome. But in the end, I didn't get Kelsey back. And that's what I wanted more than anything. So I feel like I didn't do something, I didn't push hard enough on something, or I didn't look enough on something to bring her home.
That devastation isn't going anywhere. Like she said, she has to live with that forever.
Her goal throughout all of this was to bring Kelsey home, give her a proper burial. So I know she had expressed that in some ways she felt like she had failed in her main mission.
I think the investigative team has some ideas where she may rest.
If that's where she is, that's just like the worst possibility to me.
That very first day that we met in September of 2016. I'll never forget it like it was yesterday, and it was just a special bond that we formed.
Kelsey's mom just battled and battled and battled.
8 years, I was hoping that it would never take this long.
I grabbed my mother very tight and held her very close, holding on to my dad's hands.
Since the trial's over, it's because, and Kelsey still hasn't been found, so but yeah, I've just felt very empty this past week.
Doesn't feel final because we still don't know where Kelsey is and we still don't know exactly what happened.
It turns out that prosecutors did present troubling evidence from the night Kelsey disappeared. That evidence provided a possible explanation to where her body could be.
We received information from the Pueblo landfill that there was some video evidence of a vehicle being there. You couldn't see what kind of vehicle. You couldn't tell who was in the car. Their lock to their front gate into the dump had been tampered with.
Well, it caught my attention when I grabbed the lock on my hand, and I said, well, somebody tried to get in here overnight.
The cell phone records, the pings were all out in that area. So, we suspected that's what happened.
If you heard the testimony of the landfill expert, it would be next to impossible to just find a body just by conducting a search of the landfill.
Who wants that for their child to be the final resting place? No one.
We want to bring her justice and bring her home with us, her and Kadri both. Kadri, that was the name that she was going to give the child.
I'm never going to recover without getting her back. And so I still have nowhere to go to take her flowers, to go sit and talk with her, take her balloons on her birthday, go to see her on the holidays. Hi, Cal. Hi, Cocoa Bean.
How do you want her to be remembered?
A little girl with a really big heart, a really big smile, a really big laugh, beautiful eyes, silly. She was so silly. I miss being silly with her. I miss all the things that we didn't get to do together.
I just kept saying, no, ask God to raise her.
JonBenet Ramsey, the story you can't forget, the case you think you know.
With all that attention, all that scrutiny, why hasn't this crime been solved?
One simple reason: the police have refused help that was offered, and it could have helped.
But now is the new documentary series changing the picture.
Go back to the damn drawing board.
So early on, they locked into this crazy idea that the parents were responsible. They get tunnel vision.
With new DNA technology, is a solution closer than ever.
We think the crime can be solved.
It's firing John Ramsey.
Tonight, the new John Ramsey interview.
You dwell on your loss, and you just can't do that.
And what you've never seen before. From the iconic Barbara Walters sit-down.
This was a monster that killed our daughter.
And the police think that it's you.
Now the detective who defied the police.
They knew at the time that there was DNA and that it was not from Ramsey's DNA.
And he just said, I have a name, I want you to write it down. And I did, and he said, that's where you start. All but one person on that list is innocent.
Then you got your killer.
She was a beautiful child of God. We knew she was special. We knew she was going to make a difference. We certainly didn't expect it to be this way. And yet, here's a child who is known literally around the world. So she did become special.
She is the special little girl, forever 6 years old. While JonBenet Ramsey remains frozen in time, her father has endured nearly 3 decades without justice, without answers, and without his daughter. I sat down for a new interview with the now 81-year-old John Ramsey.
Hello, sir. Byron Fitz. Byron John Ramsey.
I had John Bonet bless my life for 6 years, and she really was a blessing. Just an amazing little kid.
She was daddy's girl.
She was daddy's girl, big time.
Do you allow yourself to think, what if this hadn't happened?
I don't. I did run into one of her little friends on the street who was now, 30 and an adult, and that was a little bit of a jolt to think, wow, could have been John Bonet. She's still my little girl. That's the picture I have in my head when I think of her.
Ramsey has renewed hope that his daughter's killer can finally be found, confident that advances in DNA technology are the key to solving the mystery.
There's been a number of old cold cases solved using this genealogy research.
There was no more important story in the country than the disappearance and the death of your daughter.
Police have still not named a suspect.
It's now been 12 days since Jean Benet Ramsey was murdered.
Officers have spent more than 3,000 hours processing evidence and interviewing more than 90 people.
With all that attention, all that scrutiny, why hasn't this crime been solved?
One simple reason: the police have refused help that was offered. They had no experience. They didn't have a homicide department.
That police response and its aftermath is the focus of a new Netflix docuseries, Cold Case: Who Killed John Benet Ramsey?
Someone killed this 6-year-old child.
You have a small-town police force that gets a crime that they're not used to.
Is it fair to question the Boulder Police Department's experience, ability to investigate a homicide?
I don't think so. Just because you have one homicide in a year, I think is actually a sign of remarkable strength in a community.
This was the first murder in Boulder that year, and it was December 26. So they don't have a lot of murders, particularly where a little girl is tortured to death.
John Ramsey worked with award-winning documentarian Joe Berlinger, who says he wanted to shed new light on what he calls one of the most brutalized families in American history.
Obviously, he wasn't legally wrongfully convicted, but he was wrongfully convicted, and his wife, Patsy, the family, were wrongfully convicted in the court of public opinion.
You still feel like it's a cloud over your family name?
Yeah.
Because I guess because there are still people in the country who still believe
absolutely
that your wife were responsible.
No doubt. And we could have the killer confessed, arrested, in prison, and there'd still be 5 to 10% of the population that, yeah, it was the father, or yeah, it was the mother.
The hit docuseries has sparked a new generation of interest on social media.
Okay, one of my girlfriends and I have a new John Benet theory, and I want to float it. I just finished the John Benet Ramsey new documentary on Netflix, and holy I need to know what happened to John Benet Ramsey.
With the wave of renewed scrutiny, the Boulder Police Department issued a video statement last month.
So much of how law enforcement works has changed in the last 30 years. There are a number of things that people have pointed to throughout the years that could have been done better, and we acknowledge that is true. However, it is important to emphasize that while we cannot go back to that horrible day in 1996, our goal is to find John Benet Ramsey's killer.
That horrible day in 1996 began at Christmas time in the storybook neighborhood where the Ramsey family lived in Boulder, Colorado.
There's a saying here in Colorado that Boulder is 30 square miles of fantasy surrounded by reality. It's very wealthy, it's well-to-do.
John and Patsy Ramsey lived in a 6,700 square feet Tudor there on 15th Street.
John Ramsey was the CEO of a computer services company. He'd suffered tragedy before when his 22-year-old daughter, Beth, died in a car accident. In 1980, he married his new wife, Patsy.
By all accounts, they were a happy couple. Patsy was a high society woman.
I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm a wife and a mother. John used to just tell people that I invested in futures, the futures of my children. That's how I usually answer my occupation.
John and Patsy Ramsey had 2 children together. Their firstborn was Burke, 9 years old, and John Benet, 6.5, in kindergarten.
My name is John Andrew Ramsey, Jean Benet's half-brother. Jean Benet was just an energetic and fun kid.
Patsy Ramsey was a former beauty queen, Miss West Virginia, By the time JonBenet was 4 years old, she was in the pageant system herself.
I really believe that if we hadn't seen the beauty pageant photos of JonBenet Ramsey, it might have just gone into the ether as another child murder. This one captivated us because we saw the beauty pageant pictures.
Hello, I'm Patsy Ramsey. This is JonBenet. She's 4, Burke is 7.
Christmas was Patsy's favorite time, and she really went all out. She had a Christmas tree for every room, and every tree had a theme. The windows were done with garland, the staircases had garland, there were red ribbons everywhere.
And from all of us at our house to everyone at your house, Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Year's.
There was plenty to celebrate that Christmas of 1996. Patsy had been battling ovarian cancer and was finally in remission. On Christmas morning, the family opened presents in their home.
They were going to a friend's house for dinner that night.
We were going to leave early the next morning for a trip to our summer cottage in Michigan. So we came home, set the alarm, and went to sleep.
This is your first extended interview.
In 2000, Barbara Walters spoke to the couple about that terrible day.
You get up, you're dressed. What happens?
I went down our steps from our bedroom to the second floor. Then I started walking down the spiral staircase. And as I came to the bottom of the stairs, there were 3 pages neatly laid across one of the runs of the stairway.
She picked up the note and she started to read it.
I just remember when I read, "We have your daughter," it just, this overwhelming fear.
And then?
Then I just screamed for John, screamed.
Take me back to that day.
I was shaving or getting dressed and I heard Patsy scream, and we called the police immediately.
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on. What's your name? Are you Patsy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God!
I was the call taker that night shift when the call came in.
Police, what's going on 15th Street? What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter's gone. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? Oh my God! Please.
She's hysterical, and she says there's a kidnapping.
Please. I'm sending an officer over, okay? Please. Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got out and she's right here. Oh my God, please.
The note said, if you do anything, if police come, if FBI come, your daughter will die. You called 911.
Yes, I did. I had to do something. I had to take action.
And I mean, all this happened in a matter of moments.
Patsy Ramsey called 911 at 5:52 a.m., and the first officer from the Boulder Police Department arrives 3 minutes later at 5:55.
We called friends for help at that point. Your daughter is gone.
Desperate.
She's in the hands of a madman.
My phone rang. Pam, they've got her. What do you mean they've got her? They've kidnapped JonBenet. She's gone.
What was the atmosphere like as you sat and waited?
Well, it was awful. First of all, we didn't know whether the kidnapper was going to call that day, because the note said, "I will call you tomorrow. Get plenty of rest." I was deathly afraid that tomorrow was in fact the 27th.
You lose all perception of time, of place. You've just been dealt a horrible, crushing blow.
At 6 o'clock on the morning of December 26th, the police came in and did a cursory search of the residence. It was a lavish home with about 18 rooms.
The police did a terrible, terrible job securing that scene. And if you don't secure the scene, you don't get good evidence.
The mistakes they made were outrageous, they were mystifying, they were mistake after mistake after mistake.
People were streaming through that house. They were in the kitchen, they were in the living room. There were some friends of Patsy's that were helping her wipe up the kitchen. There could have been fingerprints there.
You had friends that were Windexing the sink and washing dishes. And
People were making toast in the kitchen. And yes, a kidnapping is a crime scene, but we were so focused on getting JonBenet back. That was the task.
What we have learned is that everyone should have been sequestered into an area so that people weren't roaming around the house.
And that was a mistake on my part. The reason I didn't is because these people were the Ramsey's support system. There was no information at all to indicate the family was involved at that point.
It was a crime scene, and it was getting contaminated. The note was being passed around and reviewed by all of their friends.
Of all of the evidence left behind, that ransom note is the most baffling. Number one, it is too damn long. A ransom note is not that long. A ransom note says, I have your child, I want $1 million, I'll call you later.
The note was 3 pages and written in longhand.
That ransom note was the War and Peace of ransom notes.
It begins, Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully.
You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills.
You think about this number and how is it relevant? And it's relevant because John Ramsey got a bonus from his company for $118,000. How many people knew that? I'm going to guess not a lot of people.
This footage of Barbara Walters' interview with the Ramseys in 2000 has never aired until now.
the ransom note asked for an odd figure, $118,000. That was a bonus that you had received.
Well, that was one of the theories that I came up with, that it was close to the net amount I'd received that year as a bonus. 118 means something to the killer. We know that. We believe that. Whether it's tied to my bonus or something only the killer knows, we don't know.
Did you know that your husband got this kind of a bonus?
Not at the time, no.
Lou Smith, a detective who would later be brought into the case to re-examine the evidence, noticed something else unusual about the ransom note. Some of the phrases appear to mimic lines in movies about kidnappings. Lou Smith recorded his observations about the case.
John? The movie Ransom was playing in Boulder.
I have your son.
Oh, Jesus.
I want $2 million.
Oh, God.
In that particular movie, a fat cat industrialist, his son was kidnapped. There's a lot of the same verbiage in this note as was in even the note that was written in that particular movie.
If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies.
A kidnapper says a similar line to Clint Eastwood in the movie Dirty Harry.
If you talk to anyone, I don't care if it's a Pekingese pissing against a lamppost, the girl dies.
You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. That's a line used by a terrorist in the movie Speed.
Do not attempt to grow a brain. Our guy's a real watcher of that particular type of movies.
The ransom note was a vital piece of evidence. Police need to figure out who wrote it and when.
On the morning of December 26, the minutes ticked by as the Ramseys waited to hear from the kidnapper.
It was awful.
The kidnappers had written that they would telephone you by 10 a.m.
All I prayed for was that he would call.
But it would be a discovery inside the house that would change everything.
I was praying. Linda Arndt had said to me, we're hopeful that the kidnappers will just drop JonBenet off someplace. And I kept looking out the window, clutching this cross and just imagining that she was going to come running down the street.
They're waiting for a telephone call from the kidnapper. What's going to happen next?
My former ABC News colleague, Elizabeth Vargas, did one of the first extensive interviews with Detective Linda Arndt.
10 o'clock comes and goes, and there's no acknowledgement that the deadline imposed by the author of the ransom note has come and gone.
Nobody said it's 10 o'clock and the kidnappers haven't called?
Nobody said that.
According to Arndt, neither John nor Patsy Ramsey seemed to market or freak out about it. She says later she found it curious that John Ramsey checked his mail in the kitchen in the middle of the crisis.
How are you supposed to act when you think?
Oh, I don't know for sure, but I really thought I could get JonBenet back if I kept my wits about me. You know, there was a pile of envelopes that had come through our front door slot. I was looking for another communication for the kidnapper. She should have been doing that.
Linda Arndt tells the restless John, why don't you look around the house, see if anything is missing or looks strange.
Check the house, top to bottom. Look for anything that might belong to JonBenet that is in place where it shouldn't be.
Were you at that point giving him perhaps a little bit of distraction, busy work?
I wanted to lessen his anxiety by giving him a job to do, a task, a meaningless task.
John took a friend with him. They went to the basement, and John opened the door.
You opened the door to the small room.
She clearly felt in danger at that moment. She made it clear that she thought John Ramsey killed his daughter and that he might kill her.
Linda Arndt's ability to look in someone's eyes and determine they were a killer is a remarkable talent.
We reached out to Detective Arndt to ask her about her reaction back then, but she did not respond. Ramsey has long been upset with her.
She said, yeah, I saw it in John's eyes. I knew he was guilty. That was the detective that was there that morning.
How is it that you have all these cops searching a home and nobody finds the body, but you asked John Ramsey to go look for things out of the ordinary, and he finds his daughter in a room that had never been opened by anybody in law enforcement? That's crazy.
He lays her on the living room floor where just a few minutes before, friends and neighbors have been walking and, you know, bringing in fibers and whatever to contaminate the scene. And then the coup de grace. He grabs a blanket, which is full of who knows what kind of contaminants, and throws it over the body.
Patsy was being kept out of the room, and I didn't want Patsy to see JonBenet laying there like that.
I remember walking in and seeing her lying there in front of the Christmas tree. I knelt down over her and just laid my body on her body and my cheek against her cheek, and it was cold. And Father Raw was there. And he started saying the last rites, I believe. And I just kept saying, no, no, you know, ask God. Ask God to raise her.
So the kidnapping of JonBenet Ramsey has turned into the murder of JonBenet.
JonBenet Ramsey was violated and murdered in a horrific way. Many injuries to this little girl's body. The x-ray of her skull shows a massive fracture.
This is an 8-inch skull fracture, so we're talking a major blunt force. This is just a massive blow.
But the ultimate cause of her death was strangulation with something called a garrote.
It's a device of a string, and it's wrapped around what ends up being a piece of a paintbrush. And what happens is, as JonBenet is losing consciousness, she's leaning forward. And so this gets tighter and tighter, and you can see how it cuts into my hand. You can see exactly why it cut into her neck. And that ultimately, according to the ME, is what killed her.
If you look at the autopsy report, JonBenet died
while being tortured. She was alive while she was being tortured.
There were signs that JonBenét had also been sexually abused. The broken pieces of paintbrush that were used for the garrote were also used to sexually assault her.
There were 4 people in that house, and 1 died overnight. From the very beginning, they suspected the parents.
Within minutes of JonBenét's body being found, this was who they were going to go after, and that's what they did.
The police are thinking, we got to talk to those parents, and we got to talk to them right now before they start getting their story straight together.
When JonBenét's body was brought out past the candy canes decorating the front of the house, there were only a couple of reporters outside to capture that. And then the media frenzy started.
JonBenét Ramsey, the little girl in Colorado, was murdered.
Beauty queen JonBenét. JonBenét's murder has frightened residents of Boulder.
News outlets from around the world had descended upon Boulder and were just hiding in trees and bushes and digging through our trash, following me around town. I mean, it was war.
The JonBenét Ramsey case was completely out of control.
You also have to remember the O.J. Simpson case had wrapped up. The 24-hour news cycle, their content had dried up. And so along came the Ramsey family, and we fit right into that slot.
JonBenét Ramsey was a precocious 6-year-old. She had been strangled to death in the basement of her own home.
You have the shock, this incredibly horrendous crime, and then you have these videos that surface of this beautiful young girl.
JonBenét Ramsey! Dark blonde hair and green eyes.
Dancing in her costumes, and those were the first viral videos.
She'd like to become an Olympic ice skater.
People who didn't really grow up in the South and understand that industry, the industry of beauty pageants, thought it was the most horrible exploitation of a child they'd ever seen. So when those images started playing across the television, people started thinking, what's wrong with that family?
For many, this was their first glimpse into the world of child pageants. Long before shows
Tested 15.
like Toddlers and Tiaras.
Stage number 65, Alana.
But John Ramsey tells me it was something that would bring joy to JonBenét and his wife, Patsy.
The pageant photos came out, and that made it more juicy.
Yeah.
And that was just something that Patsy and JonBenét had fun with.
JonBenét never participated in what I would call a beauty contest. She participated in a talent show.
She would sing and dance?
She would sing, she would dance.
I want to be a cowboy sweetheart. I want to learn to rope and to ride.
These were such a small, minuscule part of what JonBenét was all about. I think it's just because the photographs were so available and so beautiful that it took on a life of its own.
It's part of what turned it into an international circus.
This little girl's image was everywhere overnight.
The biggest negative factor about John and Patsy Ramsey was that they had allowed their daughter to be in child beauty pageant contests, and people did not like them.
But to think they would murder their own daughter was unimaginable. Yet police found evidence that, in their minds, pointed towards the Ramseys.
When you start with children of this age, when they die, tend to die at the hands of their parents. So the focus is naturally going to be on the parents to begin with. Now, in the house, the ransom note is written on a pad that belongs to Patsy. This is the notepad. This location right here is where the note was physically found by Patsy. The pen that was used was in the house.
The garrote that was used in JonBenét's murder also got the attention of investigators because of what it was made of.
It basically is an artist's paintbrush that's broken, and what's important is that it actually came from Patsy's art supply.
And there were even fibers on the backside of the duct tape that had been on JonBenet's mouth from Patsy's clothing.
And that was important, but Patsy lived in the house, so those could have been there anyway.
The police started thinking, well, maybe this is just a cover-up, that the Ramseys harmed their child some way, then panicked and tried to create basically a kidnapping scenario.
Patsy and John should have been taken to the police station immediately for separate interviews, for examination of their body for defensive wounds, for collection of their clothing. That never happened.
At this point, they haven't interviewed the mother or father. Not surprisingly, they're still very grief-stricken. They have not been in any kind of condition to be interviewed.
My father, myself, we all marched into that police station, gave blood, we gave hair, we gave fingerprints. The thing that really stuck with me is two detectives hand me their business cards, and one says narcotics officer and the other says auto theft. And I bury my head into my hands because I knew at that point we were in a bad spot.
Though the police had spoken to John Ramsey after JonBenet's body was found, what they really wanted to do was formally interrogate the couple.
The police are thinking, we got to talk to those parents, and we got to talk to them right now before they start getting their story straight together.
Your lawyers advised you then not to submit to police questions. Why not, people say? Wouldn't you have wanted to tell them everything?
Well, I don't recall that our lawyers told us that at the time. We said, you know, yeah, we want to keep working with you, but can't you come here? We can't go out. Patsy was in bed. Patsy was barely able to move. We were perfectly willing and anxious to work with the police to find the killer. We had a higher priority at that point, and that was to bury our daughter.
The family is flying the body back to Atlanta for burial.
On New Year's Eve, JonBenet was laid to rest just outside Atlanta, Georgia.
This service is in loving memory of JonBenet Patricia Ramsey.
We flew back to Atlanta to bury JonBenet. Atlanta being our home. Atlanta being where my oldest sister Beth is buried.
We give thanks today for JonBenet, for the love that she had for her parents.
I want to go back to the funeral.
Whatever we do, we're gonna go through it together. We may not get far, but sure as the star, wherever we are, it's together.
Wherever we are, it's together.
We sang that. She and I sang that together. We'd sing it driving in the car, and we just knew that we would always be together in everything. I wanted my children to know that I was with them through thick and thin, regardless of what happened in life. You know, unconditional love.
Oh, look at that. You can go places now.
Everybody wanted to see these parents. Everybody wanted to talk to these parents, especially the police.
When you realized that you two were the prime suspects, what did you think?
The Boulder police did not interrogate the Ramseys, but they remained the main suspects. Many people found the Ramseys' behavior peculiar and suspicious, and from that, many presumed they must be guilty.
When you realized that you two were the prime suspects, what did you think? What did you feel? What did you say?
Well, we were outraged. We were shocked. How could they think that? We were a normal family.
I just didn't believe it. You just can't believe it. I mean, you were suffering from having lost our child. And then for someone to accuse you, it's just, you can't believe that would happen.
Then 6 days after the murder, they go on CNN and say they didn't do it.
If anyone knows anything, please, please help us.
We've sensed from our friends that this tragedy has touched not just ourselves and our friends, but many people.
As a mother, my heart went out to this couple.
And if I were a resident of Boulder, I will tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
Some people thought it was odd they were talking to the public rather than to the police.
You did an interview on CNN. Why did you do that?
We did it reluctantly and at the insistence of some friends who could see that we were being painted as guilty.
Unfortunately, at that time, we were so, when we look back at it, we were so distraught and medicated. It was probably not giving the impression that he had hoped we would achieve.
Police end their 10-day search of the Ramsey house and remove the crime scene tape.
It is unknown if the family intends to resume residency at the home. We have no comment on the whereabouts of the family at this time.
Starting from the beginning of this case, we, the media, lapped up what the Boulder Police Department wanted to tell us about what they were doing in the JonBenet Ramsey case.
For the most part, the police didn't say much. They didn't leak a lot of information. But when they did, it was major. They thought the mother did it.
Some people who believe Patsy killed her daughter believe it was over bedwetting and then staged it to look like an intruder. The bedwetting theory was a big theory at the time.
I'm a cancer survivor of stage 4 cancer. When you are standing on the brink of death with a terminal illness, your priorities suddenly line up. Bedwetting is totally insignificant. I love my children. I wouldn't harm them for anything in the world.
But many Americans were riveted by the possibility that the Ramseys might have done this.
Some of the authorities have said that you staged this, that you loosely tied your daughter's hands, that you put the noose, the garrote, to make it look as if some terrible person had done this, that this whole picture was staged.
Well, that's absurd. This was done by a terrible person. The garrote was deeply embedded in JonBenet's throat. Her hands were tightly bound. I couldn't get the knot untied. I tried to get it untied even before I brought her upstairs. And to say that we accidentally murdered our daughter and then staged this
If we
is
had
nonsense.
staged it, why would we have disturbed it?
Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, did either of you have anything to do with the death of your daughter?
No.
No.
Mr. Ramsey, did you kill JonBenet?
No, I did not.
Mrs. Ramsey, did you kill your daughter?
No, I did not kill my daughter.
How do you feel when I ask you these questions?
Insulted, pain, hurtful. How can I tell you how much I love my daughter? I love her from the depths of my being. It's just unimaginable.
There was a Gallup poll at the time that said something like 70% of the American public thought that you or your wife were guilty.
I remember reading that. And it's like, well, I get it. That's what you were told over and over again.
There's so many puzzle pieces here that just don't fit.
Do you really think your daughter's murderer will be found?
Yes, I do. Because the killer has never been pursued. An objective, wide investigation hasn't taken place. The parents have been focused on. That's all that's been done.
I think it's solvable. I really believe it's solvable given today's technology.
There are a lot of people in this country who hope that that crime is solved in your lifetime.
The suspect might be out there and be someone who's completely unknown, who has never been on anyone's radar.
What we know is that just within a few mile radius of the Ramseys' home, there was approximately 38 to 40 sex offenders in that area. And the question is, have they all been completely vetted?
And decades later, granddaughters of one of the investigators joined the search for the killer.
There's a lot more evidence to cover and more myths to debunk.
But I do want to get the truth out there.
Was it an accident? Was it intentional? Premeditated?
I want to say something to the person or persons that
took this baby from us. The list of suspects narrows. Soon there will be no one on the list but you.
Our killer is John Bonet. How many victims has he had in the past? And how many victims is he going to have in the future?
Tonight, the new focus on one of the most haunting unsolved cases of the last 30 years. Will the spotlight push the police for further DNA testing?
I just need some specifics from the police. Are you doing this? Are you doing this?
Now, new interviews.
They targeted you, John. They wanted to hurt you. And they did that by killing your daughter.
What you've never heard before from Patsy Ramsey.
The police were more concerned with feeding the frenzy of media sharks every day than in finding the killer of our daughter.
The detective who left the police to pursue his own investigation.
Lou dedicated a big part of his life to finding John Bonet's murderer.
Detective Lou Smith was like, whoa.
He just said, I have a name. I want you to write it down.
Is the answer in the list he left behind?
Our grandfather was a detective on one of the biggest unsolved murders in our generation.
Do you think if they'd taken the help offered 28 years ago, this case would have been solved by now?
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt.
There's a good opportunity to really find out who did this.
John Bonet was an entertainer. She would entertain at the drop of a hat.
She loved to sing and dance and perform. It was a natural for her.
I competed with John Bonet. She had all these wonderful costumes and outfits, and she had this presence.
Third runner-up, John Bonet.
It wasn't really a competition to her. It was more of like, this is fun, like let's go on stage and do that.
My name is John Bonet Ramsey, and I'm 5½.
What is your favorite animal at the zoo?
The monkeys, because they laugh and stuff and hang around.
Today, John Bonet Ramsey would have been 34 years old.
I was her age. She would be my age now. She would be pursuing her own career. She never got to grow up. She is frozen in time now.
Case right. And, I think we're making efforts to meet that challenge by involving people like Lou Smith.
My name is Lou Smith. I'm a retired homicide detective from the Colorado Springs Police Department. Legendary guy. And he said, I follow the evidence. I have got to follow the evidence. Doesn't matter what my opinion is, what I might think. I follow the evidence. And he did. And that takes a lot of discipline.
Smith had a history of closing cases.
He had such tenacity. He was a bulldog. Once he got something in his mind, once he got the reins in his teeth, he was not letting go.
Lou Smith was my father. He was just known as, the detective that solved cases. When he got to a murder scene, he spent time dictating everything he saw. Where the sun was in the sky, what the weather conditions were like, what the neighboring houses looked like.
The legend of Lou Smith is now the stuff of podcasts with granddaughters Jessa and Lexi unspooling the crime for a new generation.
He advocated for the victim and stood in their shoes.
So that's why we've chosen The Victim's Shoes as our podcast name. Prior to this case, Lou Smith had investigated over 200 homicide cases that led to arrests and convictions. Lou dedicated a big part of his life to finding John Bonet's murderer.
When he started his investigation, he felt like everybody else did, that it was probably one of the two parents.
It seemed as though the parents were probably involved in it. I thought this would be a fairly easy case. I thought it would be a slam dunk. And I even remember talking to my daughter. I kind of joked with her, saying that, if somebody did get in the house, it must have been Santa Claus coming down the chimney.
It was within a couple of days after my dad started on the investigation, when he had a chance to review pictures, the evidence, that he was already saying, I think that they need to look the other way. He was already noting in his journal that he felt that they needed to look at an intruder.
Lou came up with the intruder theory. You can't think about that theory without associating it with Lou Smit.
The first thing that stood out to him was an open window in the basement. There was a suitcase propped up against it.
He didn't buy the Boulder Police Department's conclusion that no one could get in that basement window. He began to say maybe somebody did get into that house.
And I'll show you how easily it can be done.
So what did Lou Smit do? He went and climbed in the window himself with a camera rolling to prove that it could be done.
It really wasn't that difficult coming in that window.
But is Smit's own theory compromised by the very crime scene photos he himself has studied?
There are cobwebs in the window, which could support that no one did go through this window. The big question is, could you have gotten through this window, this small window, without disturbing this cobweb? I think the answer to that is maybe. But the other important point is, how soon was this picture taken after JonBenet was killed? Because spiders can replicate webs very fast.
Also found in the basement by JonBenet's body, a shoe print, a high-tech brand that did not match any of the shoes in the Ramseys' house.
The investigators believe, and maybe rightly so, that that's the bad guy's footprint.
The counter-argument is that footprint image could have been inadvertently left by police officers at the scene, but a more disturbing image in Lou Smit's investigation comes from 2 marks left on JonBenet's face and back.
The marks themselves, both on the back and on the face, were the same distance apart. Suddenly a little light went on, and it was just like, wait a minute, it was a stun gun.
Smit looked at other murders where a stun gun was known to have been used. He examined photos of a crime victim who had a known stun gun wound.
And the marks are very similar to the face of JonBenet.
He also looked into an experiment performed using stun guns on pigs. These marks were also the same as the marks found on JonBenet.
When we did the pigs, we get perfect marks, just almost like on the back of JonBenet.
This brings back our grandpa's whole motto that things are usually what they seem. Don't make it complicated.
To make things less complicated, Smit transferred all his knowledge and thoughts about the case to VHS tape, leaving behind a 6-hour video presentation of his intruder theory.
There's no reason at all for the Ramseys to use a stun gun, and the Ramseys don't have a stun gun. If it's not a stun gun, what is it? That's the question I always ask. You tell me what it is.
Lou Smit stood up and said, wait a second, we need to look at this again. It actually is possible. It actually is plausible. And in his mind, it's actually the most likely scenario. But there have been challenges from the beginning of this case. There were published reports that the Boulder Police Department refused to accept assistance from outside law enforcement.
Denver police called and offered 2 experienced homicide detectives to come work at Boulder under their direction full-time. They turned it down.
Do you think if they'd taken the help offered 28 years ago, this case would have been solved by now?
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt. I've been told by experienced homicide detectives over the years, this is not a hard case to solve, but they needed to be on it immediately.
Lou Smit thought that the Ramseys were being targeted unfairly.
Thought there was something drastically wrong. I had seen evidence of an intruder.
One thing the police and the district attorney do agree on, both want the Ramseys to come in for a formal videotaped interrogation. And when that day finally comes, it gets heated.
Go back to the damn drawing board. I didn't do it.
Within a few weeks of JonBenet's murder, police had an important clue. The discovery of foreign DNA found underneath her fingernails and in her underwear.
DNA that does not match the Ramsey family, and it shows a foreign male presence. They sat on that for months.
They knew at the time that there was DNA in her panties. That it was mixed foreign DNA, and that it was not from Ramsey's DNA. Not Patsy's, not John's, and not Burke's.
Detective Lou Smith was like, whoa, while you're pouring water all over the intruder theory, you're not revealing that you have unidentified DNA and it doesn't match anybody in the Ramsey family.
Lou is just incensed that the focus is still being, well, it could be Patsy, maybe we need to get her to confess.
The police had eventually interviewed the couple 4 months after JonBenét's death, but now authorities want the Ramseys to come in again for videotaped interrogation.
There were months and months of negotiations. Things about whether they could be videotaped. What are the questions going to be? Should the Boulder police be a part of it? Because the Ramseys said, we don't trust the police. We don't want them there.
Ultimately, the interrogation took place at a different police department, and the Boulder police had to watch it from another building.
The Ramseys finally sit down with the police for 3 days of videotaped interrogations in June 1998, a year and a half after JonBenét's murder.
We were there for as long as they wanted, would have stayed for 2 weeks had they wanted. The myth that we didn't cooperate is nonsense.
When you were interrogated by the police, you were interrogated separately.
Yes.
Today is Wednesday, June the 24th, 1998. I'm present at the Broomfield Police Department. Tricia Ramsey.
Tom Haney, who was one of the most respected homicide detectives out of Denver, was chosen to interview Patsy Ramsey.
Patsy Ramsey had a year and a half to prepare. I knew that it was going to be tough to get a spontaneous response.
Do you ever recall purchasing black duct tape like this? It seems like there can't be a house in the world that doesn't have duct tape because it repairs everything.
Well, I never liked it because it's so gooey. I mean, gooey.
He started out softly and kindly and curious, and then he got pointed with his questions, and that made Patsy angry.
If I told you right now that we have, in the process of being examined, trace evidence that appears to link you to the death of JonBenet, what would you tell me?
That is totally impossible. Go retest.
How is it impossible?
I did not kill my child. I didn't have a thing to do with it.
She said it was impossible that we had physical evidence linking her to the crime.
I'm talking about scientific evidence.
I don't give a flying flip how scientific it is. Go back to the damn drawing board. I didn't do it. John Ramsey didn't do it, and we didn't have a clue of anybody who did do it.
I am so taken with her swagger. She just tells them, you know, you think you have some evidence on me? Well, you better look again.
We love that child, okay? We're not involved. Read my lips. Let's find out who is. My life has been hell from that day forward. And I can't stand the thought of thinking somebody's out here walking on the street. God knows we might do it again to some other child. You know, quit screwing around asking me about things that are ridiculous and let's find the person that did this.
Patsy was feisty. She was combative, in stark contrast to John Ramsey, who was interrogated by Lou Smith.
When Lou interviewed someone, he pried anything out of people just by being understanding and really listening.
Now, John, and I know this is touching right back on a very delicate spot, but was this tape wrapped around anywhere, or was it stuck down? It was very firm across her lips.
Reached out, flipped the latch, opened the door, I knew immediately what I found.
Okay, and you say immediately?
There was a white blanket. I just knew I found her.
How were you standing with her?
The interrogation tapes are intriguing to watch, as there's a lot of raw emotion shown by both John and Patsy Ramsey. But the bottom line is both John and Patsy deny that anyone in their family killed JonBenet, and there was nothing revealed that allowed for charges to be brought against them.
And we want to do everything we can to help solve this case for you.
My dad's conclusions after that interview were just firmed up his belief that the Ramseys had nothing to do with this murder.
I'm not saying parents don't kill their kid. Parents do kill their children. So, but they're trying to say, Patsy, that their actions before, during, and after are all consistent with innocent people. You didn't do it.
My dad started getting frustrated as time went on because he felt that the case against the Ramseys was being slanted where no other evidence was coming in.
I thought there was something drastically wrong and that there was a gross injustice in this case. I had seen evidence of an intruder in the house that night.
Lou Smith thought that the Ramseys were being targeted unfairly, and he didn't believe the police were listening to him.
Smith so strongly disagrees with the prosecutor's focus on the Ramseys that he is resigning from the case, saying, "The case tells me John and Patsy Ramsey did not kill their daughter."
He wrote a letter to Alex Hunter telling them that he couldn't be a part of the persecution of these people, is how he termed it.
He wrote, "I intend to stand with this family and somehow help them through this and find the killer of their daughter."
My dad may have resigned from the district attorney's office, but he never stopped work on the case. He walked in JonBenet's shoes, and he owed it to her, he felt, to continue his investigation.
One thing Lou Smith fought to do was tell a grand jury his side of the story, the intruder theory. There were too many unanswered questions. In particular, that male DNA in JonBenet's underwear that didn't match anyone that they knew of. Who could it be?
Grand jurors arrived at the Boulder County Justice Center this morning and were escorted into the courthouse by sheriff's deputies.
There was enormous pressure on District Attorney Alex Hunter to call for a grand jury, and it took him almost 2 years to actually call one. I think it was the media pressure and pressure from the police that forced him to make that call.
A lot of work went into it. You have to remember, this case was happening just after other high-profile murder cases in the country.
What did you think of your parents at that point by October 31st?
I thought they were these great people that I had killed.
From the Menendez brothers to O.J. Simpson.
O.J. did it!
Those high-profile cases were on most of the country's mind.
Good morning, counsel.
Most people think the evidence of Simpson's guilt was insurmountable.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
And yet, he walked. Alex remembered that. He told me one time, "I don't want to spend 2 years of my life and $5 million of the taxpayers' money and lose in court."
Alex Hunter sat a grand jury for 13 months.
Are you surprised by anything you've seen?
No.
Over 13 months, those people heard over 100 witnesses.
My name is Jonathan Webb. I was a grand juror on the JonBenet Ramsey case. It bothers me that the murder of a little girl like this has gone on unsolved for essentially a quarter century.
Members of the grand jury looking like detectives themselves as they finally toured the Ramsey house.
From a crime scene perspective, it was very disturbing how she was found. She's on a concrete floor, a garrote around her neck, and she's 6 years old. That's pretty horrible.
Webb told us that the grand jury spent most of their time focused on two main issues. First, who wrote that ransom note?
We heard from 3 handwriting experts, and even though the handwriting experts couldn't definitively say that she wrote it, they all 3 came to the same conclusion that it could have been Patsy Ramsey.
The Ramsey's defense team had their own experts who said that the comparison between the writing on the ransom note and Patsy's handwriting was not conclusive.
And the grand jury believed that she wrote it.
The second focus for the grand jury, according to Jonathan Webb, was the viability of the intruder theory.
Smith actually presented his intruder theory to the grand jury.
This is the very first photo taken of a training room basement window. The window is wide open. Now, if I was a detective, I'd have said, wow, this is entry.
But the grand jury wasn't buying the intruder theory because of those cobwebs in the window.
The intruder theory didn't make sense to the grand jury. The Boulder police had photographed cobwebs. So for someone to get through a small opening like that and not disturbing a cobweb would be remarkable.
A grand jury doesn't decide guilt or innocence the way a regular jury does. The grand jury is only there to decide whether or not there's probable cause to charge the suspects with a crime.
We were troubled by, to what level of confidence do we need to have to vote to indict? And it's the preponderance of the evidence, which means greater than 50%. And soon after that, we voted to indict.
The grand jury was looking at two specific accusations for the Ramseys: child abuse resulting in death and accessory to a crime. The grand jury couldn't point the finger at Patsy or John specifically, but they were sure that one of them committed the crime and the other person helped to carry it out.
This is 7 News at 5.
There is high anticipation in Boulder right now for a Ramsey decision, and we are about to hear an announcement from Boulder DA Alex Hunter.
I and my prosecution task force believe we do not have sufficient evidence to warrant the filing of charges against anyone who has been investigated at this time.
I was shocked. It's extremely unusual for a grand jury to vote to charge and the DA not charge.
I think deciding not to prosecute the parents for homicide was the right decision. No matter what you believe about the case, it would have been very difficult to get a conviction.
Thank you very much.
There were too many questions, in particular, that DNA in the underwear that appears to have been from a man didn't match anyone they knew of.
That's why Lou Smith continued investigating even after he resigned from the case.
He had condensed everything he knew about every person of interest into a spreadsheet.
It's like a PowerPoint on steroids. It detailed 887 names.
But I think what turned this whole case has always been DNA. The killer left behind, I believe, part of his DNA.
On their podcast, Lou Smith's granddaughter spoke about his focus on the DNA in the case.
Over nearly 13 years, Lou took all of the information that he had on this case and developed a database. In this particular murder, he thought that DNA would solve this case.
And thanks to major advances in DNA, a number of big surprises were about to come to the case.
What became groundbreaking at the time was a thing called touch DNA. Essentially, when someone touches something, the skin cells they leave behind can be tested.
In 2008, the then district attorney for Boulder, Mary Lacey, decided to do a new round of DNA testing on JonBenét's pajama leggings.
Remember, there was already DNA from an unknown male found under JonBenét's fingernails and in her underwear. But analysis of touch DNA on her leggings uncovered something new. DNA from at least one unknown male, maybe two.
In recent months, investigators used that new procedure, which helped them discover fresh DNA on JonBenét's long johns, left by the killer's fingertips.
Now new DNA analysis proves just that. The Boulder District Attorney clears all members of the Ramsey family in the murder of their 6-year-old daughter, JonBené.
That's a pretty big development. You've got DNA now in 3 places that doesn't match anybody in the Ramsey family. That's a pretty clear indication that somebody else was there, and nobody knows whose DNA it is.
This revelation of this new unmatched DNA drove the district attorney to announce they're no longer looking at the family.
The news broke here at the district attorney's office with this incredible letter to JonBenét's father.
DA Mary Lacey wrote John Ramsey, "We do not consider your immediate family, including you, your wife Patsy, and your son Burke, to be under any suspicion in the commission of this crime."
The DA also apologized to the Ramseys. She wrote in part, "To the extent that we may have contributed in any way to the public perception that you might have been involved in this crime, I am deeply sorry." John Ramsey responded to the DA's letter and the stunning development on a local newscast.
We're certainly grateful for an acknowledgement that we are innocent, that this was an intruder, which of course we've always maintained.
But this is a reminder how often that they are human beings and how often they get it wrong, how often their biases take them down the wrong path.
Somebody told me in the police world, they said the most dangerous thing is a police department that's made up their mind. And that's really what happened in our case.
All it takes is one match to the DNA, and you've possibly nailed the killer.
Our killer, JonBenet, how many victims has he had in the past? And how many victims is he going to have in the future? And so this killer could still be murdering even today.
Lou Smith dedicated years to investigating the JonBenet Ramsey murder case. But eventually, he ran out of time.
When he got sick with cancer, he knew that his time was limited. And so during that time, he just talked to others about not letting this case die.
He had people coming every single day, 60 to 70, 80 people a day, coming to see him. And they said their goodbyes. And during that time, he would still talk about the case.
I remember about the last 3 days, he had slipped into a coma, and the conversations would become one way, and I don't know if you could hear me or not.
I'm John Ramsey. I had the opportunity to visit Lou a week before he died. Remarkably, during that time together, Lou talked a lot about the case. He hadn't given up. He never gave up.
Lou Smith's legacy lives on, and his tenacity to solve this case was passed on to his daughter, Cindy Mara.
And he just said, "I have a name. I want you to write it down." And I did. And he said, "That's where you start."
You know, we'd be glad to pay that. We don't have that electronic report, so we would need Boulder to send it.
After my dad died, a couple of us, our family, and then some of his old homicide partners, we just formed a team.
You want to go down to number 2, because that is an in-state one.
Yep.
What we all share in common is that commitment to fulfill Lou's dying wish, that this case doesn't die with him. And I think it's that devotion, that respect, that love for Lou is what keeps our team moving forward.
According to investigators, there were other possible suspects, including a local Santa in town who had previous interactions with the Ramseys.
There's no way in the world that I could be involved in the death of this little girl. I adored her.
But there's another man who comes forward and claims he's responsible for JonBenet's murder.
I love JonBenet, and she died accidental.
The mystery surrounding the murder of JonBenet Ramsey haunted Lou Smith until the day he died. But he left behind that detailed list, hoping that one day JonBenet's killer would finally be brought to justice.
He had condensed everything he knew about every person of interest into a spreadsheet.
It was like a PowerPoint on steroids. The spreadsheet detailed 887 names.
He wanted us to take the list that he had and try and keep the case alive.
Out of those 887 entries, by the time he went into hospice, Lou had marked 134 cleared.
Over the years, there have been many leads that seem promising at one time or another.
That new Netflix documentary, Making News, details how just months after JonBenét's murder, a 12-year-old girl who lived less than 2 miles from the Ramseys was attacked as she slept in her bed.
Sometime in the late hours, Mom hears a noise going on.
And there was, in fact, an intruder in her daughter's bedroom preparing to molest her. That person has never been identified. That girl had attended the same dance studio as JonBenet. Are the two cases connected? I don't know.
Boulder police said that while the two cases had some similarities, they found no definitive connection.
In the search for the killer, investigators chased down countless leads, including a local transient.
Here you have Gary Oliva, who apparently on the night or the next day after JonBenet was killed, called a friend and told him over the phone that he had hurt a child.
All of a sudden I get a phone call, and it's Gary, and he's sobbing into the phone like I've never heard anybody sob in my entire life. I hurt a little girl.
He was a homeless man who hung out at a church just a block and a half from the Ramseys' home. And he confessed that he killed JonBenet Ramsey.
They took a look at him, but eventually eliminated him because there is absolutely no connection between he and the Ramseys. And his DNA, they used that to eliminate him.
Investigators also looked into Bill McReynolds, a local Santa Claus who'd worked at the Ramseys' holiday parties.
JonBenet had made a comment that he, Bill McReynolds, was coming to their house to see JonBenet. I think everybody thought that was a little weird. His DNA didn't match, and he's out of the picture.
And then Alex Hunter, the Boulder County District Attorney, speaks directly to the killer.
I want to say something to the person or persons that committed this crime. The list of suspects narrows. Soon, there will be no one on the list but you.
A day after the DA rattles the cage, a man named Michael Helgoth attracts the attention of authorities.
Michael Helgoth evidently committed suicide the day after the Boulder District Attorney threatened that, hey, we're going to find you.
The death of this child has broken all of our hearts. We will see that justice is served in this case and that you pay for what you did.
That speech was designed to get the killer nervous.
When Michael was found dead, there was a stun gun at his residence. Also, there was a pair of high-tech boots.
These two clues had previously been linked to JonBenet's murder.
Stun gun, a bit odd for people to have. High-tech boots, fairly common thing for people to have. But the real clincher would be DNA didn't match, and he has no connection to the Ramsey family.
And so investigators also eliminate Helgoth as a person of interest.
Investigators finally felt they had a real break in the case with John Mark Carr. He famously claimed he was with JonBenet when she died.
I love JonBenet. Died accidentally.
Are you an innocent man?
No.
Her death was an accident.
So you were in the basement?
Yes.
Problem is, he wasn't in Boulder, Colorado when she died, and his DNA didn't match.
Even though Carr claimed he was in the basement when JonBenet died, there was just no physical evidence linking him to her murder. And so Carr was eliminated as a suspect.
Take a look at it.
Decades later, the search still goes on for the little girl's killer.
What our team has been doing is focusing on collecting DNA and testing DNA.
I think it's imperative that we investigate every credible suspect that's been provided.
If we keep at it, hopefully we'll finally whittle it down to one person remaining on that list.
Do you think you know who the killer is?
You know, no, I don't. And this is a very dark, evil person. I don't know anybody like that.
But could advances in DNA technology finally help catch the person who killed John Bonet. The John Bonet Ramsey case is just as mysterious today as it was in 1996, when her devastated parents were left with tiny mementos from their daughter to hold on to.
It makes me sad that there were happy little hands in this glove.
So the memories bring tears to your eyes, but you're also a little more at peace?
I don't know. I don't think I will be at peace until we find out who did this.
For Patsy Ramsey, sadly, her fight to find her daughter's killer ended in 2006 when she passed away.
Patsy died of ovarian cancer.
Yes.
Went through all of that without knowing that she'd been cleared.
That's correct.
She was buried next to John Bonet in Marietta, Georgia. But the search for justice continues.
I think it's even more mysterious now to some degree because who the heck was in that house? How'd they get in? Why'd they target her?
Lou Smith's family, dedicated to keeping the case moving forward, continues to work on whittling down a list they presented to law enforcement in 2020.
And what we presented was a confidential list of our top 20 people of interest and the list of the 8 people of interest that our team had eliminated through DNA analysis.
The technology has just advanced so tremendously. John Bonet's blood was mixed with an unknown male DNA in her underpants, and we need to separate out those 2 profiles, which can be done now, and use genealogical DNA, which has been a huge tool in solving cold cases recently.
That technique has solved some old, dead cold cases. That's what we're asking the police to do.
Well, DNA science has progressed significantly since the early years of the Jean Bonet investigation. And investigators can now work with smaller, mixed, and degraded samples. There are still significant hurdles.
What will be your message to the Boulder Police Department today?
Look, just tell us, are you using one of these very cutting-edge labs to do additional DNA testing? If you are doing additional DNA testing, that's all I need to know.
According to the Boulder PD, investigators are utilizing outside labs and experts in the latest technology.
Our collaboration also includes the Colorado Cold Case Review Team, which is a panel of outside experts brought together in December of 2023 to review this case. Our department has had ongoing conversations with John Bonet's family, the last of which occurred in mid-2024. Our goal is to find John Bonet Ramsey's killer. Our commitment to that has never wavered.
The family has not lost the will to fight and the will to find the killer. If we can find the killer, then the next generation doesn't have to live with that trauma and the unknown and the speculation. If we leverage the evidence, we follow the facts, we will find this killer. My dad certainly suffered a tremendous amount, but I think he's focused on life today and enjoying life with his family and grandkids, and he's remarried.
But he says he's still always thinking of John Bonet, trying to focus on the positive of this beautiful little girl who will always be forever young.
She knew she was loved. I mean, we told her that every day. Somebody asked me once, what would you say to John Bonet if you could? I would tell her, I'm sorry, I didn't protect you. You know, I had John Bonet bless my life for 6 years. And she really was a blessing.
The final analysis, you're looking at a guy whose cup truly runneth over.
Tonight on a special edition of 2020.
Bar, what'd you think? Where's my hero?
We say goodbye to the 41st president.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush,
The video you'll only see here from the ABC archives.
I said, who is this good-looking girl, that beautiful girl over there?
The beloved first couple of the country, spending 73 years together.
And stay fat, stay gray, stay wrinkled. We love you.
Now, the family stories you've never heard about their final days.
He was with her the whole time, and then on the day that she passed away, he was there all day, holding her hand.
Tonight, the political dynasty they would build together.
I kiss you, but your makeup might smear.
The national events that shaped them.
My dog Millie knows more about foreign affairs than these two bozos.
He is yesterday's man.
The two boys were bitter, and we're going to get Clinton, we're going to get revenge. And she said, get over it.
This son of ours is not going to let you down. He's going to go all the way.
The historic events that broke them.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Why should you be elected for 4 more years?
And the legacy they left behind.
He's the last president of the greatest generation.
Here's Amy Robach.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
I've been very blessed when you look around and compared life to others, how lucky we've been. But you must feel responsibility to others. You must believe in serving others. I think that's a fundamental tenet of my life.
George Herbert Walker Bush was really fundamentally a patriot. He believed in America, and he believed in the ideals of America.
Congratulations. And it didn't matter whether you were a Republican or a Democrat, or a liberal or conservative, he was decent to you. Bush was a throwback to what the old Republican Party used to be.
President Bush's legacy as a human will be one of great decency and devotion to country and family.
Also part of that legacy, his deep bond with his companion of 73 years, former First Lady. At her funeral in April, President Bush was next to her casket, greeting mourners who had come to pay their respects.
It absolutely amazed me. There he sat for hours, shaking hands, because he knew that they wanted to see him. So it was one last act of duty.
After my grandmother passed, my grandfather was back in the hospital the day after.
There is breaking news. Former President George H.W. Bush has now been hospitalized with an infection that has spread to his blood.
I just remember talking with my mom and my family members and just saying, we just need to get him to Maine, because that's really where his heart is.
And that is where he went, to his beloved home in Kennebunkport, Maine.
So when you look out at this scene, what do you see?
I look at the sea, I see the power of the sea. I see the wonders of the sea. I see my boat. I love going in a boat. And I just feel totally relaxed here in Maine, by the coast.
Kennebunkport was his refuge, his sanctuary.
It's the place where he and my grandmother would come every summer. It's just always been a place where our family has come together.
Family means everything to me. I don't know where I'd be in life if I wasn't blessed with a lot of kids.
And not something that we see very often these days. They met at a Christmas dance in Greenwich, Connecticut. My grandmother was wearing her red and green Christmas dress, and my grandfather spotted her.
I said, who is this good-looking girl, that beautiful girl over there? He said, that's Barbara Pierce from Rye, New York. And the rest is history.
Barbara Bush set eyes on 17-year-old George Bush and never looked back. They laughed together all the time. You can look at videos of the two of them just cracking each other up.
Is he still the handsomest man
Yes.
you'd ever seen?
My eyesight's getting bad.
Golly.
These are people who loved each other deeply. And Barbara Bush was a great political partner for George Bush. I think she had a great deal to do with his political ascent.
Coming up next, during that meteoric rise, tragedy strikes.
My grandparents suffered the worst thing that a young couple can endure.
Stay with us.
have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
He's the last president of the greatest generation.
George Herbert Walker Bush was born in 1924 into a wealthy New England family. His father, Prescott, was a businessman and U.S. Senator from Connecticut.
The Bush family has always been steeped in public service. There's the feeling in the Bush family that you draw on the resources of this country to make money and provide for your family, and then you give back.
I was lucky at birth and had some privilege, but I've tried to put something back. I served my nation in war and stayed right with it.
His mother, Dorothy, instilled the values that Bush would carry throughout his life.
George Bush learned lessons in character at his mother's knee, and first and foremost, he learned humility. His mother used to say to him, "George, don't brag," or if he bragged about an accomplishment on the baseball diamond, she would say, "Well, George, how did the team do?" So she encouraged him to think about the larger community and not just himself.
On the day he graduated high school in 1942, Bush took the unusual path of enlisting in the Navy instead of going to college and became the youngest naval aviator flying combat missions in World War II.
He is really the last of our World War II presidents and saw what the world could do to itself when there were failures of leadership.
This rare film shows Bush being rescued after his plane was shot down by the Japanese over the Pacific.
When they picked him up, you can see that look in his face, that concern, even though he's being rescued. And that's the only time I've ever seen George Herbert Walker Bush with a little bit of fear in his eyes.
After leaving the Navy, Bush married his sweetheart, Barbara Pierce, after that chance meeting at a dance before the war. Their first child, George, was born while Bush attended his father's alma mater, Yale University. But George H.W. Bush was determined not to follow too closely in his father's footsteps.
He wanted to go west, traveled out to Texas, to Midland, Texas, with Barbara and a couple of the kids.
He told me once, he said, I got in my car, I drove out west, and I never looked back.
But the young couple suffered a tragic blow when their daughter Robin died of leukemia just shy of her 4th birthday.
Barbara Bush's hair turned white from that experience when she was 28 years old.
Do you ever get over that?
No. You don't get over it. It's very hard to talk about her.
I know, even now after all these years.
But it makes everybody more valuable. George Bush and I love every single living human more because of Robin.
My grandmother, in her final days, was at peace with dying, and she knew she was going to heaven and would be with Robin. And my grandfather, too, we knew that when he passed, he would go be with my grandmother and with Robin. So as much as it hurts to lose them, it's been reassuring to know that they're all together.
After making his fortune in the oil business in Texas, George Bush turned his sights to politics, Barbara and their children campaigning by his side.
Barbara Bush was a great political partner for George Bush. I think she had a great deal to do with his political ascent.
Bush had been a 2-term congressman when, in 1971, President Richard Nixon appointed him ambassador to the United Nations. He was director of the CIA and even served as a diplomat in China during the Ford administration.
He saw China burgeoning, so he got to see this fledgling powerhouse at a very nascent time in its development. And I think that was an incredibly important diplomatic experience for George Bush.
And the next president of the United States, Judge Bush.
Bush decided to make a run for president in the 1980 election. He faced formidable competition for the Republican nomination: senators, congressmen, and the governor of California, Ronald Reagan.
George Bush and Ronald Reagan had a very vigorous campaign against each other, where George Bush famously dubbed Ronald Reagan's economic plan voodoo economics. And that caused some bad blood between the two men.
This type of what I call a voodoo economic policy, it just isn't going to work.
But after a hard-fought battle for the nomination, Reagan tapped George Bush to be his vice president. the Reagan-Bush ticket won by a landslide.
And the 21-gun salute roars out for President Reagan.
Just 2 months into his term, an attempt was made on President Reagan's life. Vice President Bush is credited for his measured response to the crisis as he raced to the White House as Reagan went into surgery.
His arrival was very classy. We discussed about bringing him directly into the White House lawn from Andrews Air Force Base. And Bush vetoes that idea.
And when asked why, he said, because only the president lands on South Lawn. And I think Ronald Reagan appreciated that. And the two became very good friends.
Bush crisscrossed the globe representing the United States.
George Bush traveled to 75 or so countries during the course of the presidency. And Reagan would draw on the experiences of George Bush to understand a little bit more about what was happening around the world.
After 8 years as Reagan's vice president, Bush decided to make a bid for the presidency.
When George Bush was around Reagan as his vice president, he would literally sort of curve his body in deference to Reagan. His speechwriter called it the Episcopal tilt.
And he wasn't Reagan. He didn't have Reagan's political skills. He wasn't that good on the stump. So we needed a hook.
My opponent won't rule out raising taxes.
He got this idea of saying, you know, I'll just promise not to raise taxes.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Read my lips, no new taxes. He did it to get elected. He thought he had to consolidate the conservative base.
Bush defeated Democrat Michael Dukakis, and while it wasn't a landslide like Reagan's elections, on January 20th, 1989, he was sworn in as the 41st President of the United States.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We live in a peaceful, prosperous time, but we can make it better. For a new breeze is blowing, and a world refreshed by freedom seems reborn.
A new president faces a world in turmoil and a campaign promise
No new taxes.
that threatened to make or break him.
What he meant to say was no new taxes for the rich.
When we return.
Congress says, okay, I'm going to do it.
So many people's view of you has changed. It's as if Clark Kent became Superman.
When you are not the number 2 on a team, but are really heading a team, as a president must do, it's different. And I've learned so much from this man.
And the presidency of George Bush was shaping up to be very different than Ronald Reagan's.
I think he admired Reagan's decisiveness, admired Reagan's rhetorical skills, but he wanted, when he came into office, to be a different kind of president, to be, as he said, kinder and gentler.
Do you have a vision, and if so, what is it?
I think my vision is the same as the 40 presidents that have preceded me. A world at peace. Not at any price, but at peace where freedom and democracy prevail.
That vision would be tested early in George Bush's presidency during the waning days of the Cold War.
Poland has started along an ascending path of democratic change.
George Bush was the right man to be in the presidency during the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Bush knew from the beginning that it wasn't going to be easy to coax the former Soviet Union out of a communist regime. As they like to say at the White House in those days, trying to bring in a 10-pound fish on a 5-pound line.
As the old Soviet order began to collapse, with it went the Berlin Wall.
It mattered enormously that when the Berlin Wall came down in November of 1989, Bush refused to be triumphalist. Didn't crow, didn't dance on the wall, as he put it.
I always wondered in my heart, was he remembering what his mother used to say about, don't take credit for yourself, give credit to the other team. And in this case, it was the German people.
His instinct was to ensure that the Iron Curtain went down with a whimper and not a bang. That natural humility kicked in, as did his natural diplomatic instincts.
Change was in the air all around the world.
The tectonic geopolitical plates were shifting. This was a time of remarkable change. You had the Tiananmen Square uprisings in China. You had Nelson Mandela being set free and ultimately becoming the president of South Africa.
So help me God.
These are remarkable times.
Diplomatic experience and his 8 years as vice president had honed Bush's foreign policy skills.
He frequently reached out to world leaders and would talk to them when there was nothing on the agenda.
Just saying, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. How's the family? What's going on? And just establishing that rapport.
Just to get to know them better, to engender their trust, so that when he needed them, he could go back to them. Prudence is a hallmark of George Bush's leadership, and in retrospect, that prudence, that instinctive humility in George Bush were the right qualities at that very sensitive time in our history.
Humility was a quality that also described Barbara Bush as First Lady.
You've received so many letters from people all over the country who say, oh, now I can let my hair go gray, I can gain a pound or two. They're so happy about you.
Well, I've certainly gotten a lot of letters. Stay fat, stay gray, stay wrinkled, we love you. And they are all meant with great warmth and love.
What they are saying when they talk about Barbara is that they sense in her a certain genuineness.
I think that's a very funny book.
As First Lady, Barbara Bush promoted literacy, even ghostwriting books by their dog, Millie.
President Bush, his wife Barbara, loved dogs.
That's pickles right there.
It was national news when Millie had puppies at the White House, revealing a rare glimpse of President Bush at a relaxed moment.
Sarah was like holding a grandchild, you know, they're afraid to drop her.
It looked so immediate, it looked so warm, it looked so spontaneous.
During vacations, that couple would gather with children and grandchildren at their estate in Kennebunkport, Maine.
It's a place, you know, all of my cousins come together, and when my grandfather was president, there used to be a helicopter pad, and we would take the little cars and we'd go down and greet him, and he'd come off.
And there he is, the president, our dad.
There's certainly, from top to bottom, a family full of love and affection for each other. A family is an important ingredient for anyone whose last name is Bush.
Members of the White House press corps trailed the tireless president.
I got up at 6 a.m. many mornings to watch him play golf. He loved to have reporters there because it made it like the U.S. Open.
He would start out in the day and he would have 18-hour marathon sporting events. It was like he was a one-man decathlon. There were always competitions. There would be tennis, and there would be horseshoes, and there would be boating, and there would be golfing.
The Bushes were all about love braided with competition.
Dad, how are you playing today?
Very well, Dorothy. I'm at the peak of my game.
They were a very competitive family, but there was an enormous amount of love.
Back at the White House, President Bush signed landmark pieces of legislation.
Signs the Americans with Disabilities Act. He establishes the Clean Air Amendments that really is our environmental policy now. These are big, big pieces of legislation.
George Herbert Walker Bush, domestic affairs, was kind of custodial. It was marked by a philosophy of do no harm. He didn't have a great big agenda. It was fairly minimal, but looking back on it, you can point to a couple of things that were defined and accomplished.
Supreme Court.
More controversial was Bush's nomination of Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court. The enduring confirmation hearings featured testimony of law professor Anita Hill accusing Justice Thomas of sexual harassment.
On several occasions, Thomas told me graphically of his own sexual prowess.
I deny each and every single allegation against me today.
And when the economy began to falter, President Bush was forced to confront a crushing national deficit.
Our deficit is big, and I don't want to be a part of continuing to saddle the generations to come, our grandchildren, with more and more deficit.
He decides that the good of the country is to raise some taxes and establish budgetary reforms.
I've been pressing the Congress for a real growth package.
He knew at that point he might be sacrificing a second term, but he believed it was the right thing to do.
Raising taxes was a controversial move that some critics believed would seal his political fate.
Why do you think that your image has been tarnished in this way? I mean, a year ago, the strongest leader, a year later, weak, indecisive?
When we return.
Good evening. There has been a dangerous, late-breaking development in the Persian Gulf.
August 1990, President George H.W. Bush faced a new challenge, not the culmination of the Cold War, but crisis in the Middle East.
There are reports that Iraqi forces have invaded Kuwait.
It was an enormous test for George Bush's presidency.
He appeared on television getting out of his helicopter heading to the White House. And he famously said,
"This will not stand. This will not stand, this aggression against Kuwait.
This will not stand."
There is no justification whatsoever for this outrageous and brutal act of aggression.
Bush built an unprecedented coalition of dozens of countries, relying on relationships skillfully built over the years.
You know, that coalition didn't just happen. It happened because George Bush stayed on the phone night and day. I mean, we'd awaken at 6 in the morning to Bonjour Francois, and at night we'd go to the other side of the world.
Just 2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait.
It's the toughest decision the president makes, I can tell you that. It is the toughest. You feel a responsibility for every life keeping them safe, every life that's lost. You feel that responsibility.
It is a quick, decisive victory.
We kicked the Iraqi army out of Kuwait. For years afterwards, people criticized the president. Why didn't you go to Baghdad?
Do I like it that Saddam Hussein, this brutal dictator, is still there? No, but it was not our objective to go into downtown Baghdad and put American lives at risk to get Saddam Hussein.
148 American lives were lost in combat, far less than what was feared. The war is considered a military success. Bush's approval ratings skyrocketed.
Kuwait is liberated. Iraq's army is defeated.
We used force wisely, and we did it in a way that held our casualties to a minimum.
He has an approval rating of 89%, one of the highest approval ratings in the history of the presidency. As soon as the confetti from the parades is swept up, Americans go back to worrying about their situation at home.
Conservative Republicans increasingly worry that the White House has no clear program to deal with the foundering U.S. economy.
He was hit with criticism from all sides right when he was heading into the 1992 re-election campaign.
President Bush's approval rating took another beating today, largely because of concern about the economy.
Why do you think that your image has been tarnished in this way? I mean, a year ago, the strongest leader, a year later, weak, indecisive?
Well, the year ago...
Is it just the economy?
See, the reason, yes, I think it largely is the economy.
And there was that broken promise.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
It would haunt Bush.
I made one compromise on taxes. It didn't have a deleterious effect on the economy, but I think it caused a credibility problem.
What he meant to say was, no new taxes for the rich.
His opponents in the upcoming presidential race would pounce on the flip-flop. Independent Texas billionaire Ross Perot and young Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton.
He is yesterday's man. He offers us no real hope or vision for the future.
In 1992, he ran into one of the great political talents in American history. And so that was kind of a perfect storm.
The 1992 election was about two generations. It was about the World War II generation, the greatest generation, versus the boomers. But when Clinton went on Arsenio Hall, it was Clinton like identifying himself as being of a different generation.
Why should you be elected for 4 more years?
Because we've already accomplished big things, and because I don't leave the job unfinished, and I don't quit, and I don't pick up my marbles and go home when the going gets tough, nor should a president.
He's the most decent, honest person.
Wow.
Shouldn't say that in front of him, should I? And very funny. Not just funny looking. I mean, very funny.
Well, I know who you're going to vote for.
You're darn right.
He got elected to do this, then the Congress...
But there are missteps in the campaign. Bush made a small but devastating mistake in one of the debates.
George Bush glanced at his watch. It led to the reinforcing of impressions that George Bush was indifferent, that he was above this campaign thing.
Make no mistake, for a guy that many people thought was a sort of nice, kind, compassionate person, he was very competitive.
My dog Millie knows more about foreign affairs than these two bozos.
November 1992, to Bush's shock and dismay, Bill Clinton won the election. In Bush's diary, he wrote, "It's hurt, hurt, hurt."
I just had a great feeling of letting down a lot of people that worked for me, a lot of work for our administration.
It was just disappointing. It was very disappointing.
So we will get behind this new president and wish him well.
George Bush, again, always his mother's son, was gracious in defeat. That was an inherent quality in George Bush. Grace, dignity, class.
And humor. He would even invite a special guest to the White House to boost staff morale, comedian Dana Carvey, who lampooned him on Saturday Night Live.
Tomorrow is Earth Day. Environment, a difficult problem. Gotta be prudent. The way to do the president is to start out with Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Then you add a little John Wayne. Here we go. Let's go over the ridge. You put them together. You got George Herbert Walker Bush.
I think that's just a remarkable reflection of his ability to poke fun at himself.
But there are no laughs on January 20th, 1993, the last day of the Bush administration.
I took a photo of him in bed. This was going to be the last couple of hours that he was president.
And it was a sad day when they had to essentially give the keys to the next family.
Time to say goodbye, but not for long.
Little did they know that they would be back 8 years later when their son became president.
This son of ours is not going to let you down. He's going to go all the way and serve with great honor all the way.
Stay with us. Back in Houston, after more than a decade at the epicenter of power and politics in Washington, D.C., the former president has to quickly adjust to life outside the White House.
Well, this is the first minute of the beginning of our new life, and now it's back to the real world for the Bushes.
The next morning when he woke up, Barbara Bush said, "George, from now on you got to get up and make your own coffee." That was his first step back into being Mr. George Bush, former president of the United States.
The Bushes were determined not to dwell on the loss.
Did he want to be president? Absolutely. But the times were against us. You do what you can, and then you move on. And there are a lot of things we want to do.
Texas is ready for a new generation of leadership, and I will provide that.
Their oldest son, George W., running for governor of Texas.
I want to thank everybody.
And Jeb for governor of Florida. Their father claims he was never interested in preserving his political legacy.
George Bush hated the word dynasty. It's smacked of monarchy. But he was proud of his family going into public service.
There'd be nothing worse than the father who got defeated running for his second term for president, trying to make something, be something through his son.
Would you have wished a political dynasty if you could have chosen?
Not for me.
But in 2000, the Bushes found themselves again on a presidential election campaign.
I swore I would never campaign again. Maybe I should have said, read my lips.
This son of ours is not going to let you down. He's going to go all the way and serve with great honor all the way.
Just 8 years after his own presidency, a proud father witnessed his son ascend to the same position.
I, George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
To see your son succeed you in the Oval Office, that's an amazing moment. And unprecedented, but for John and John Quincy Adams in the 19th century.
We just got a report in that there's been some sort of explosion at the World Trade Center.
It is a presidency that was quickly tested. 3 days after the September 11th attacks, the bond between father and son was on display after President George W. Bush gave a speech at the National Cathedral.
So many have suffered so great a loss, and today we express our nation's sorrow.
Then he walked back to the pew, and his father, without looking at his son, just reached over and grabbed his hand. You could see manifest love and loyalty between those two men.
The love and loyalty was clear, but less obvious was just how much sway did the former president have over the current one.
I think the temptation for folks is to think about George H.W. Bush, who had held the office, schooling his son when he became president. And in fact, that's not what he did at all.
We talk on issues, and we talk a lot, but not mostly. It's about family.
That remained the case even when the younger Bush went to war with the same dictator as his father, Saddam Hussein.
I believe the father understood that his son was headed in the wrong direction. But his son was president of the United States, and he was not going to say, now sit down here, young man, I'm going to tell you what to do. That was not George Herbert Walker Bush.
They mismanaged the war, and I think the father wanted to warn him, but the son did not want to hear it.
Tonight, the president faces growing criticism about his handling of the war.
Weapons of mass destruction have yet to be found.
The new round of criticism for President Bush.
Recently, Bush Sr. revealed to biographer John Meacham his private concerns at the time.
He didn't like the axis of evil talk.
An axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world.
He held Cheney and Rumsfeld to some degree responsible for it. But he did tell me, ultimately, it's the president's fault.
But publicly, the former president stayed removed from politics. And as part of that exclusive club of ex-presidents, he forged a surprising new friendship.
In 2004, a tsunami ripped through Southeast Asia.
Terrible, terrible disaster in South Asia.
George W. Bush tapped his father and his father's opponent in 1992, Bill Clinton, to represent the United States.
We come to you not as presidents, but as two private citizens.
And the two remarkably became friends. The Bush family would tell you that they almost adopted Bill Clinton. They started calling him bro or brother from another mother.
I think it sent a good sign across the country because you run against somebody that doesn't make you an enemy.
The Bush's post-presidential life was devoted to philanthropy, with a focus on literacy, volunteerism, and cancer research in honor of their daughter, Robin.
One of his Secret Service agents' children was diagnosed with cancer, and some of the Secret Service agents shaved their heads in solidarity. And my grandfather was like, well, I want to do that. He shaved his head, so that's just exactly the kind of guy that Gampy is.
And of course, his main focus was on his family.
My grandfather's always liked to be around younger people, because I think it keeps him young at heart.
So young at heart that at age 75, he decided to celebrate his birthday by skydiving.
The Army is not happy with this idea. You know, the last thing you want to do is have your president jump out of an airplane, and he did it several times, and he had a ball. That's him.
I want the people, American people, to understand that just because you're old, that doesn't mean you can't do things in life. And I hope it inspires other people to get out the front door and mow the lawn or go and play shuffleboard. When I landed on the sands and I said, Barbara, bursting with pride, what do you think?
Bar, what'd you think?
She said, I haven't seen a free fall like that since the '92 election.
That is not true.
What's what you were thinking?
I wish I'd thought of it, though.
Coming up, one last political standoff.
Jeb Bush is a low-energy person.
There were reports that President Bush was throwing a shoe at the TV set when Trump was on.
Stay with us. Just when they thought they were out,
I'm a candidate for President of the United States.
They were pulled right back in when in 2015 their son Jeb announced his candidacy for president.
He's steady, he's honest, and I'm thrilled to be the mother of one of the greatest men I know, Jeb Bush.
And ran straight into the Donald Trump juggernaut.
Jeb Bush is a low-energy person.
I think Donald Trump is trying to insult his way to the presidency, and it's not going to work.
There were reports that President Bush was throwing a shoe at the TV set when Trump was on.
I don't think it should be any great surprise that George H.W. Bush, lifelong Republican, would choose to vote for Hillary Clinton because Donald Trump was the antithesis, in many respects, of everything that George Bush stood for.
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
The Bush ethos is about civility, humility, and the notion of service above self.
And love. The great affection between George and Barbara was always evident. They would flirt and tease each other.
I think this would be a very good time to bring in your #1 asset.
Millie?
Millie! He should have said Ranger. That's the love of his life. How are you?
I'm just fine.
Glad to see you. How are you?
I kiss you, but your makeup might smear.
What do you mean you'd kiss me, but my makeup might smear?
He's always so charming, right?
No, he is charming.
You know Mrs. Bush is your #1 asset, don't you?
I certainly know that.
I'm his #1 fan.
And decades later, she remained his #1 fan, and he was still gushing about her.
She's just so kind, and she's an amazing spirit. She's just wonderful.
After her passing, George Bush released this statement. I always knew Barbara was the most beloved woman in the world. We have faith she is in heaven. Jeb Bush spoke of his parents' great love at his mother's funeral.
My dad is a phenomenal letter writer, and he would write Mom on their wedding anniversaries. Here's one of them written on January 6, 1994. Will you marry me? Oops, I forgot, we did that 49 years ago. I was very happy on that day in 1945, but I'm even happier today.
Last June, when he was in the hospital, George Bush tweeted this photo of himself reading A Great American Love Story, adding, enjoying a great book and a wonderful walk down memory lane. The book was co-written by his granddaughter.
At certain points, we'll stop and say, Gampy, do you remember this? And he says, yes. Or sometimes he says, vaguely.
And now that President George H.W. Bush has passed, he will be laid to rest at his presidential library in College Station, Texas, next to his wife and daughter, Robin.
When I was a little guy, I'd fear death. I'd worried about it, be scared. Not anymore.
I think history will understand that this was a president that certainly made the world a much better place than he found it.
I begged her for an ounce of her strength so that I could put one foot in front of the other.
Tonight, on an all-new 2020, an unbreakable bond between mother and daughter, but someone came between them.
He's like, Mom's dead, and he just kept repeating, Mom's dead, Mom's dead.
I ran downstairs and was hysterical and started vomiting.
She was found laying right here.
And I said, well, you can go right over there, because that's the person that killed my mom.
But just who was she pointing at?
This is a delicate question, whether somebody that she was having an affair with could have had her killed.
He started thinking about ways to engage his exit strategy.
To get rid of her.
To get rid of her.
Hold on, he's coming out.
Tonight, a daughter's discovery of family secrets and scandals leading to a dramatic showdown.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Behind the scenes, Kim was nonstop digging for answers, getting proof.
Now we're taking you inside her obsessed 6-year crusade to catch the killer.
What kind of crimes?
You're talking murder.
2020 tonight, going into a dangerous underworld no one could have imagined.
Drugs and a lot of money, inevitably a murder of April Kaufman.
Before this hour is over, there will be another shocking death. But is that the end of the story?
This is my life, and I feel like this is the worst made-for-TV movie on the planet.
Good evening, I'm Amy Robach.
And I'm David Muir, and this is 2020. And here tonight, Deborah Roberts.
WIBG, it's the talk of South Jersey.
Driving the corridor between Atlantic City and Philadelphia weekdays between the hours of 2 and 4, you may have heard this voice on WIBG FM.
If you don't vote, I will find out. I'm going to your house. I'm dragging you outside.
That's the no-nonsense April Kaufman, a peppery, provocative radio host.
I love being here to bring you the truth. As unvarnished, as unpretty, unbuttered on the biscuit it is.
Tackling topics from politics, caring for U.S. vets.
Homelessness is a big a big issue in our country right now for our veterans.
Listeners couldn't get enough of the Jersey girl with the platinum hair, big smile, and high wattage personality.
She was like a whirlwind. Like, she would come in and she would make a lasting impression on everyone.
In her upscale town of Linwood, New Jersey, not far from the boardwalk, April and husband Dr. Jim Kaufman, a prominent endocrinologist, are the community's consummate power couple.
The two of them were well known individually as well as together. They really wanted to be involved in the community, but they also like to have some fun.
Every day, the doctor and Mrs. Kaufman had a familiar routine. Jim heading to his medical practice before sunrise, and then a standing phone call with April at 8:30 a.m. But on Thursday, May 10th, 2012, that call to April goes unanswered. And after several failed attempts, Dr. Kaufman sends over his handyman to their home on Woodstock Drive, where he discovers a horror.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, I have my bosses down. She's lying on the floor in her bedroom and she's not answering.
Okay, where are you, sir?
2 Woodstock Drive, Linwood.
Okay, hold on, I'm transferring you.
47-year-old April Kaufman found dead on the floor of her bedroom. With the family handyman on with 911, Jim calls Linwood police.
This is Dr. Kaufman. I just got called by my house person that my wife is face down on the floor.
My partner's sending out the ambulance as we speak.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm getting there as fast as I can.
Detective James Scopa took me inside the home where the wealthy socialite who once lived larger than life was discovered dead, shot multiple times.
She was found laying right here.
Face down.
Face down.
As the media got there and they started to realize who it was, that's when they knew, okay, this is really a story. It was chaos.
As the steady whir of helicopter blades begins swarming the sky, Jim Kaufman makes another phone call, this one to stepdaughter Kim Pack.
I answer the phone and I say hello, and he's like, Kimberly? And I said yes. He's like, Mom's dead. And he just kept repeating, Mom's dead, over and over. And as I got to the front door, there was a police officer that put his hands out, and I pushed his hands away. And I go, where's my mom? Where's my mom? What is happening here? I need to see my mother. He said, we think this is a potential homicide.
No one could imagine who would have shot April Kaufman. Beautiful, blonde, glamorous, and she was fun. No one had any idea what was going on behind those closed doors.
She made everybody feel like they were her best friend. Didn't matter who they were, the checkout, the parking lot cart guy, you know, hey beautiful, hey handsome, how you doing today?
Friends Peg O'Boyle and Lee Darby knew April since she was a teenager and knew her well enough to know that her outward glow masked an inner pain.
She had a really rough childhood. When April was 11, her mother gave her brothers and sister up for adoption, and April was raised by her grandmother, and her brothers and sister were put into foster care.
You know, I think she had her thirst for being, you know, feeling loved. She just wanted to be loved.
She would discover unconditional love at 17 when she gave birth to Kim with her first husband.
She was an incredible mom. She seemed to just instinctively know what to do.
She always spoke to Kimberly like a little adult, and we used to call her Agnes, Agnes Beeswax, because she was this little old soul. April just wanted the best for her and gave her the best that she possibly could. You know, she worked hard.
April dropped out of school when she became pregnant, but she got her GED. She clawed her way back. She opened a salon, a catering business, a cafe, a charity worker.
But while April worked hard, she played hard too.
She liked motorcycles and fast cars?
She did when she got her first motorcycle. She said, I'll give you $300 to get on the back of my motorcycle. And I was like, no way. My feet are on the ground. And she would be like, all right, $500. And I'm like, no, I'm not getting on the back of your motorcycle. Just the need for speed and wasn't afraid.
After 2 failed marriages, she meets Dr. Jim Kaufman. Friends and family say the wild child finally had found her match.
He drives a Harley, he's smoking cigars, he's a Green Beret in the military, a doctor.
In fact, this caricature sketched for Jim's 60th birthday seems to sum up the couple's life. There's April, the buxom Jersey girl, overshadowed by her larger-than-life new husband, who's prominently depicted with a gun, big cigar, and something else, military tattoos. Impressed, she asked her stepdad to be the subject of a college project. He agreed to be interviewed with some conditions.
There were 2 rules to this interview. 1, you can never ask my mother about anything pertaining to this interview. And 2, you have to destroy the tape when you're finished.
That's a little mysterious.
Yeah, but you know, I just thought out of respect, this is what he's asking. He talks about how the Viet Cong had ambushed his camp, stabbed him, but also stabbed and left all of his comrades and left them for dead. And his sole mission, he had said, was to grab these dog tags and bring these dog tags to these people's families so that they know what happened to their boys.
That's an amazing story.
Yes.
It's no wonder April was motivated to mount a campaign, using her radio voice to demand quality health care for veterans.
This was such a big issue that affected our veterans and our state, our country. So I will thank my husband for a lot of the things that I've learned over the years.
April felt that veterans should be treated like rock stars.
So how did this fierce and loved advocate for casualties of war become a casualty herself? Kim has an idea and approaches investigators with a shocking declaration.
As I made my way out into the cul-de-sac, I look up in the air and there's all these news choppers flying up above. And I said, well, you can go right over there because that's the person that killed my mom's
daughter, Kim.
I miss her calling me nonstop all the time. I miss her laugh. I miss her smile. I miss her infinite wisdom because she really was my rock.
After the mourning came the murmuring. Sometimes talk is cheap, even in wealthy towns.
This is a delicate question, but there were questions about whether your mom was having affairs.
You know, they had a very unhealthy relationship, the both of them. And I will just say that there were indiscretions on both sides of the fence. And I'll leave it at that.
Did it concern you that maybe somebody that she had been involved with could have killed her?
No, but I certainly provided those people's names to the police. And I allowed them to do their due diligence.
While the community is in shock and awash in rumor and innuendo, listen to this, April's final radio broadcast, where she sounds like a woman who thinks her days are numbered.
And my bottom line is, if nothing else, of my legacy of leaving, a really beautiful daughter and 2 grandchildren on this planet, I really hope to God that people, hey, I could get a flyover at my funeral now.
You listen back to that and you think, did she have a premonition? It's kind of like she was trying to tell us something, I believe.
In those early days after her mom's death, there's one thing gnawing at Kim. One person she's curiously not getting consolation from? Her stepdad, Dr. Jim Kaufman.
Dr. James Kaufman was a very well-respected and well-regarded member of this community. But to Kim, stepfather Jim was a very different person.
He was very cold to me, always kept me at an arm's length.
Literally. Just look at the pained body language in this video taken on Kim's wedding day.
1, 2, and 3. Here we go.
Take a close look. He steps into the scene. He smiles one time for the camera to flash. Then he goes back to a very taciturn demeanor and steps out. No hugging, no kissing, no warmth, nothing.
You would be in the dining room, I would be talking to my mom and he would come and turn the lights off and just walk out of the room.
He controlled her cash flow and
yes.
How much money she could spend?
Oh yes, and sometimes even calling her, who are you with, where are you?
And just 2 months before April's murder, it seems the bloom was officially off the rose of her nearly 10-year marriage. Kim recalling a lunch where her mother confides she's had enough.
She talked about that she really needed to start aligning herself and getting herself in a good spot to be able to leave. I think that he had made it clear to her that she wasn't going to divorce him and take half of his empire. That was his famous words.
Did you get any feeling that your mom might have been in any kind of danger?
She had made it clear over the years that he had threatened to kill her several times, but would always follow up with, he doesn't have the guts to do it.
Though Jim is not named a suspect, some might say he begins acting like one.
Within days of April's body being found, Jim hires a lawyer.
Not only a lawyer, but the lawyer, a mob lawyer.
Ed Jacobs, one of the biggest legal names in Atlantic County. He's even defended Bill Cosby in one of his sex assault accusations.
He loves defending high-profile criminal cases. His walls in his office are covered with news clips of himself.
One possible reason he's not named a suspect, he's got an airtight alibi. That's him entering a local convenience store around the same time his wife is being gunned down.
Authorities are not releasing details, but it appears that Kaufman's shooting death was not random.
I meet him in a restaurant, and he says to me, let me tell you something. I have a very good attorney, and I'd been advised to not speak to anybody about this. He's like, you might need to really start to realize that this is never going to be solved. And I said, well, I'm not going to realize that. I said, because I will never stop finding out. And I walked away, and I never spoke to him ever again.
As the months drag on, Kim says the only cold shoulder icier than Jim's is the one she's getting from then Atlantic County prosecutor Jim McLean.
I had several meetings with him, and he would just say it was active and open and not really say much more.
Did you get the impression that he was determined to get to the bottom of this?
No.
Then, on the one-year anniversary of April's murder, many turn out for a candlelight vigil, including so many vets she made her cause. Noticeably absent, Dr. Jim Kaufman. He marks the milestone another way.
We discovered that he was getting ready to auction off all of April's belongings and hadn't given anything to Kim.
How crushing was that for you?
Beyond, because the things that I asked for that belonged to my mother were family heirlooms or possibly Disney coffee mugs.
With her mother and all those mementos lost, Kim tries to adjust to a new normal while raising her 2 young sons and holding down her job as a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Marching through every single day, waking up with another day of hopelessness while trying to keep that glimmer of hope alive is a very tricky thing to do.
Yet while life for Kim seems hopelessly on pause, for Jim Kaufman, it's full speed ahead. Just 15 months after his wife's murder, he ties the knot again.
He remarries Carol Weintraub. When did that start? Now, the version we've gotten is that they started dating after April was found murdered. Now that's some romance.
April's friends and family were devastated, and they felt like it was a slap in the face, but the people who support Jim Kaufman say, you know, he's a widow, and he's moving on with his life.
But Dr. Kaufman's next move sets off a chain of events that pushes Kim out of limbo.
He went after my mom's life insurance policy.
And your reaction?
No way. Because you know what? This was my only attempt to maybe be able to get some answers, and the truth maybe would start to come out.
Now it's Kim's turn to lawyer up. Believing Jim is the killer, she files a wrongful death suit against her stepdad to keep him from getting her mom's $600,000 life insurance policy.
I have no choice to respond and to begin to fight for what I know is right.
The most significant kind of civil lawsuit you can have is a wrongful death case.
Coming up, a daughter undaunted, and the dynamic duo attorneys she hires begin digging into the case, and what they say they uncover is shocking.
We were talking to people that were critical witnesses to us that had not spoken to the prosecutor's office.
And their chance to grill the grieving good doctor.
He was under oath in a civil deposition. They could ask him anything.
Next. At Atlantic City, legendary for its slots, signature shows, and of course, this moment. But the boom and the bust of the casino industry has made America's favorite playground a hotbed for crime, corruption, and a startling number of unsolved cases. Cases like April Kaufman's, but Kim Pack and her dogged attorneys, Patrick and Andrew Darcy, drill down, determined to get answers.
Behind the scenes, Kim, with us, was nonstop digging for answers, getting proof. We were on an island, all on our own.
But the tide may be turning.
I grew up on the beaches and the boardwalk of Atlantic City, and I always say I have sand in my shoes.
Meet Damon Tyner, son of one of Atlantic City's fabled firefighters and a longtime cop.
Your dad was a bit of a legend.
Yeah, he was very well known throughout the community.
But the younger Tyner made a name for himself as a Superior Court judge.
Good to see you. How you making out? So they named a pizza for me.
I think right here.
Yep, that would be me.
And then last year,
I, Damon G. Tyner,
became the first black prosecutor in the county's history.
So help me God.
Many seeing him as the city's much-needed savior.
You're doing a good job, man.
I appreciate it.
Great job.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You doing? You all right?
No, not judge anymore.
Good to see you.
That man's cleaning up AC.
There you go.
You took a pledge when you took the office. Tell me about the pledge.
Dating back to 1970, there are about 140 unsolved homicides. I urged my executive staff to tell me which cases were most solvable. Unanimously, they all came back to me and said, the murder of April Kaufman.
But Tyner is sworn in almost 5 years after April Kaufman's murder. 5 long years.
A lot of people wondered why 5 years passed and no recognizable work had been done.
It wasn't that there were glaring mistakes. It was just an omission of effort, you might say.
We wondered about that and tried asking former prosecutor Jim McClain about the investigation. His spokesperson tells 2020 McClain has no comment.
Fortunately, Damon Tyner became prosecutor, and his team came to the conclusion that this case should be prosecuted.
For the first time, someone's listening here.
Tyner agreed to meet Kim Pack and her lawyers within that first month.
What did that mean to you?
The fact that I was lucky enough for him to say, I'm going to take a second look at this. Me, my case, thank you. Like, this is all I've been asking for this entire time, is for someone to care.
It took 3 hours for Kim's lawyers to unpack all they had uncovered.
You should take a look at these records.
But no evidence as compelling or illuminating as this.
Today's July the 11th, 2014.
A 4.5-hour-long video deposition of Dr. Jim Kaufman himself, finally talking for that wrongful death lawsuit Kim has filed.
Basically, I ask the questions, you give the answers. Understood?
Yes.
4.5 hours under oath is a lot of time. It's a lot of questions.
I do. Okay. We may proceed.
That was the first time he could be compelled to talk.
There he is in the hot seat for the very first time, getting grilled on everything from his love of guns.
How many guns do you own?
Approximately 18.
To the moment he first saw his wife lying lifeless on the floor.
I ran upstairs. I looked inside and unfortunately saw April lying there. And she wasn't moving, and she had a pallor, which I've known after 30 years is obviously someone has passed away. And I ran downstairs and went out on the lawn and was hysterical and started vomiting.
Okay, do you have tissues, by the way?
I got them.
Do you need to break?
When I look at a deposition, I sometimes turn the sound down. I don't want to hear what they're saying. I want to see what they look like and what their facial expressions are. He struck me as a manipulative guy.
But there's a barrel-sized bombshell about to drop. The doctor's casual and stunning admission about a secret he's been keeping for years. Seems that time he spent in the Special Forces wasn't so special.
Have you ever served in any branch of the military?
No.
That's right, Dr. Kaufman forced to come clean about his so-called stellar military record. Those Purple Hearts, those sharpshooter medals, all lies.
Did you ever tell Kim Pack you were in the military?
Yes.
Okay. Did she ever do a project for college, and part of the project was you being in the military?
Yes.
And what you went through?
Yes.
And that you carried bodies?
Yes.
And the torture that you had gone through?
Yes.
Did you ever tell anyone that you were a Green Beret?
Yes.
Who'd you tell?
I don't recall how many people I told.
So he created this background that didn't even really exist.
That is correct. Once you start examining someone who is bold enough to engage in stolen valor, you start realizing that there are other aspects to this man's life that would require us to investigate.
But in that deposition, Dr. Kaufman posits his own theories about who may have killed his wife.
Who do you think did it?
I thought it could be someone who was one of the veterans. The last choice was that it was someone in a motorcycle gang.
What motorcycle gang?
The Pagans.
The Pagan motorcycle gang? Remember, April had a penchant for motorcycles. Could that mean she was in deep with the kind of people known for violent behavior?
The pagan outlaws are the equivalent of the Hell's Angels. They are felons of the most dangerous sort.
Coming up, a stunning turn in the Kaufman case.
No, I'm killing myself.
Leading to a standoff in the Garden State.
Drop the gun!
No, I'm not going to jail for this.
Put the weapon down.
No!
Stay with us.
At the Final Four, and you know, smiling, and I'd put it on my brother's screen so that when he came in the morning, that would be the first thing he'd see is a picture of Jim Kaufman saying, yeah, so what? I killed her. What are you going to do about it?
But there's an unexpected canary in Kaufman's coal mine. It's coming in the form of a tip from the FBI. The feds believe Kaufman may be involved in another unrelated crime.
Lo and behold, another investigation related to insurance fraud, his role as a doctor, comes up.
Investigators get a warrant to search his office.
So they show up at Kaufman's clinic just to look at his records.
On June 13th, 2017, we attempted to serve a search warrant at Dr. Kaufman's office here.
Within minutes, it's clear this will not be a routine visit.
Detective Scope at the prosecutor's office under the last week. Stay right here for me. Just keep your hands off down there. No.
What does he do instead of ushering them in as most of us would with the feds? No, he grabs a 9mm Ruger.
A police body cam captures it all. You can see and hear him refusing to let authorities inside.
I have one at gunpoint, Dr. James Kaufman. He has a weapon. Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
For 45 minutes, there's a heart-pounding standoff.
Drop the gun!
At one point, Dr. Kaufman threatening to take his life.
I'm going to kill myself.
It sure seems like Jim thinks they're there in connection with April's murder.
Listen, let's talk.
I'm not going to jail for this.
All right, we got movement.
Finally, a hostage negotiator gets the disgraced doctor to surrender.
Dr. Kaufman, please step out to the curb. Now, slowly, reach down and pull your shirt up. Keep walking backwards.
Just watch the building to make sure there's no one else still inside.
This video changes everything.
The husband of a murdered South Jersey radio host and advocate is behind bars following an early morning standoff.
Investigators say that same day they seized more weapons from Kaufman and at least $100,000 in cash. That was a game changer.
After the standoff with Jim Kaufman, he goes to jail, not for murder, but for weapons charges. He fights to try to get out. The judge would not let him out based on his conduct, and that gives the new prosecutor, Tyner, a chance to really dig into the murder case.
Starting with the crime scene.
So this is the house here. The bedroom that April was found was upstairs.
But the biggest break in the case doesn't come from inside this house at all.
We knew Dr. Kaufman that there was a point in time that he was inquiring about having her killed. And
how'd you find that out?
We were able to get a witness to cooperate with us this past November. That broke the case.
And who was that witness? A former member of the Pagans Motorcycle Club. Remember them? They're the ones Dr. Kaufman had pointed the finger at in his deposition.
The last choice was that it was someone in a motorcycle gang.
What motorcycle gang?
The Pagans.
But now the tables have turned. One of those pagans ratting out Kaufman, and not just for murder. Prosecutor Tyner on January 9th, 2018.
Hey, Sergeant. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Damon G. Tyner.
At a press conference, Tyner lays out the case of an elaborate and secret double life that Dr. Jim Kaufman was leading. Treating patients by day, writing fraudulent opioid prescriptions for those pagans by night.
They would come in and be patients, and all of a sudden you had a prominent endocrinologist that was prescribing opioids and all kinds of other painkillers when that wasn't quite his practice.
So he's got the power of the prescription, and then they've got the gang activity.
Essentially, they were flooding the market with opioids and selling them at a marked up price.
What a bombshell. This straight-laced doctor that everyone had respected was part of a pill mill, a drug ring. And not only that, with the pagan outlaw motorcycle gang. And April Kaufman found out.
Found out and, according to Tyner, threatened to expose his secret seedy double life.
He started thinking about ways to engage his exit strategy.
To get rid of her.
To get rid of her.
For the past 5.5 years since April Kaufman was found shot to death, there's been little movement on this case, and no arrests had been made in connection with the murder. That is until today.
An explosive breakthrough in the murder of radio host April Kaufman.
Murder charges just filed against Dr. James Kaufman in a plot that police say involved members of a motorcycle gang.
But wait a minute, didn't the doctor have an airtight alibi? Remember that early morning stop at a convenience store? Tyner says Kaufman wasn't the shooter, that he paid one of those pagans roughly $20,000 to do his dirty work and kill his wife.
He went inside and he shot April Kaufman twice.
And ironically, that alleged hitman died a year and a half after April's murder of an opiate overdose. His pills prescribed by, you guessed it, Dr. Jim Kaufman.
When I heard the details of everything, it really was unbelievable. I feel like this is the worst made-for-TV movie on the planet.
The prosecutor worries Dr. Kaufman could be targeted by pagan members in jail, so they move him upstate to the Hudson County Correctional Facility as they begin gearing up for their first major trial. Finally, a chance to close one of those Atlantic County cold cases. But then, another shocking turn.
Dr. James Kaufman dead. Officials with the Hudson County Correctional Facility confirmed that he died at 9:20 this morning.
What was your reaction when you heard this?
I was stunned.
The story started off terrible and is ending terrible.
Dr. Jim Kaufman dead. But how?
Were you worried that he could be hurt in prison?
That's always a concern.
Will justice ever be served? Stay with us. It's been a long, strange trip for Dr. Jim Kaufman, from a plush suburban cul-de-sac to the Hudson County Jail. His new home, a 6-by-9-foot cell like this.
This is unit...
This is Charlie 500 East. Maximum security.
The inmates, many considered violent and dangerous, were Dr. Kaufman's new neighbors as he awaited his trial in a facility just across the river from New York City.
What kind of crimes?
You're talking murder.
It's rare to get a look inside these tight quarters unless you're an inmate, but corrections officers agreed to take us in, recalling that fateful morning. Just after serving Dr. Kaufman breakfast, they made a grim discovery. The doctor was dead, hanging himself with a laundry cord.
I was stunned, but that's, in retrospect, that's what convinces me now more than ever that he understood that the end was near.
He realized it had all caught up with him.
Yes, I think so.
Bottom line, he had his wife murdered, and the only way out for him was suicide.
Kaufman did leave something behind in that jail cell. This note obtained by 2020.
Even in that jail cell, when he killed himself, he had to write this very lengthy suicide note to be in control at the very end, to get the last word.
Kaufman adamant that he didn't kill April.
I cannot live like this. I, no matter what anybody says, did not do anything to my wife.
This 6-page suicide note is bizarre.
Throughout the note, he quotes Latin, including phrases that Roman gladiators would say to the emperor before they fought in the Colosseum. Really?
His final words do add a surprisingly new angle to the sordid saga.
April came to me and said, would I like to go to a motorcycle rally to meet some of her friends? I was slightly shocked, to say the least, that they had the colors of pagans.
The most important thing that Jim Kaufman wants people to take away from this note is, I didn't kill April. She introduced me to this outlaw gang. I was prescribing pills. They then got aggressive with me. They then started threatening me. And they're the ones who killed April.
Were you able to determine whether April had any involvement with either the gang or the pill mill?
Our investigation at the time did not lead us to believe that she had any involvement. I believe that at some point she became aware of it. I think ultimately that's the reason why she was killed.
But dead men tell no tales, at least not in court. And with both that alleged hitman and Jim Kaufman deceased, Tyner's last call for justice rests with the case he's building against the accused pagan ringleader, who he believes conspired with Kaufman to kill April. He's pled not guilty.
There is an aspect of the investigation that's continuing with a defendant who is still pending trial. So I won't disclose too much about that part of the investigation, but suffice it to say that we were convinced that Jim Kaufman's involvement in this matter was enough to charge him with conspiracy to commit murder.
Is there any doubt in your mind that her husband wanted her dead?
There's no doubt in my mind.
A painful conclusion for a grieving daughter, yet a measure of solace. Kim Pack may finally find the justice she's been seeking for years.
Why do you think this case wasn't solved 6 years ago?
I don't know, that's the million-dollar question. But what I do know is that I was blessed and granted the ability to have peace in my life for the first time in 6 years by a man with determination and that believed in my story. And that is Damon Tyner, and I am forever grateful to that man.
Although in a tale as twisted and tragic as this, there's hardly any true closure.
And that's the saddest part of this entire story. Her mom's still not coming back. And when everything's quiet and it's just Kim and she's alone and she's thinking, her best friend's gone.
We were robbed. And for what? I still don't have the answer to that. For what?
When we come back, one of those precious family heirlooms sold at auction has been recovered. The secret message from beyond the grave found inside, next. Kim Pack doesn't just resemble her mom, she's inherited the same passion that made April Kaufman so beloved.
She's like a pit bull. She is. She latches on and she's not letting go until she gets what she's looking for. She's the mini April.
There's been dark days, very dark days, where I just didn't know how I was going to do this. But I knew that I needed to stand up. This story needed to be told.
But in that darkness, something special. Remember when Jim sold off all of April's belongings? Turns out Lee Darby and Peg O'Boyle, dubbing themselves April's Angels, swooped in.
These women got together and they were on the phone calling people, raising money to be able to buy back things that belonged to my mother.
So that's how you got the last remnants of your mom's things?
Yes. And my mom collected these little Limoges things, and this was the first item that I touched from the auction. And inside this note, it says, "To Kimberly, from Mom. Whenever you look at this, you know you're always loved. You're so special. Best wishes for the rest of your life."
And you had no idea that note was there?
No, and I feel like this was meant to be. I feel like I was meant to have this. I keep this by my bed. It reminds me that my mom is with me all the time.
Out in the community, other reminders.
My husband and my boys got this bench dedicated for her. It's special because it's a spot that we stop and my kids will bring up a memory or they will talk about her.
And if Mom could say just one more thing to her daughter?
I think she would say to me now, you can breathe, you can go on and live, you don't have to be sad anymore. And thank you for fighting.
A fighter to the finish. Remember Kim Pack's civil case to get her mother's life insurance?
Well, we can report tonight that her attorney now says that's been amicably settled with Kaufman's widow. And that is 2020 for tonight. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Amy Robach. From all of us here at ABC News in 2020, good night.